Hey guys, it's the end of the world part 15, 2020. What's going on with everybody? Yeah, I know I'm live. Well, I hope everyone voted and then immediately came here to hang out. What's up, Sporadic? Oh yeah, much rather hang out here. Yeah, right? I don't want to sit there and watch those results trickle in. Hey, Josh, you made it on time. Sure did. Well, shoot, guys. I have no idea what we're going to talk about. I just figured he'd hang out. Samantha will be back here in just a minute with groceries. She's probably going to cook some supper. Just going to be hanging out. What's up, Mr. Rager? Armando, what's going on, buddy? Thank you, Anthony. I appreciate that. Yeah, Jason. Hi from Fredericksburg, Virginia, soon to be Fungi of Fredericksburg. Welcome, Booter. The Mead Man showed up. You ever tried those bottles I sent you? Oh, sir. Why don't we do that tonight, Sergio? I put those in my larder downstairs. I don't know if my internet will reach down there, but I need to turn that off too. I have not. Sergio, why don't we make this a live tasting of at least one of them, right? Because that'd be great. I put them in storage and completely forgot about them. So hold on one second. There, that'll cut off that horrendous buzz. Yeah, give me a second, Sergio, and we'll go grab those bottles. I had a question about your oat tech and it working with mason jars. Just wanted to confirm. Yeah, I mean that's. What do you mean working with mason jars? Like, yeah, I mean I make grain masters all the time with the exact same oats. What's up, King? Stephen Brown, much love to you too, buddy. Wow, from Romania. Welcome back, Shrimmerella. I keep forgetting. No vote there. Yeah, you guys already had yours like a year or two ago, right? Thanks, Booter. I appreciate it, man. What's up, Fistnick? Okay, yeah, Sergio, we'll go grab that. Okay, guys, here we're going to try this. I'm going to try to take you downstairs. We're going to go down to the pantry. I really don't know if the internet will reach. But we're going to grab a bottle or two of Sergio's mead that he sent me like weeks ago. Ooh, it's so dark. We're going to get puppies of the apocalypse. Tell me if you all lose me. Did we lose reception? No, good. Let's go back. And let's get a bottle opener. Samantha called me right before the live stream anyways to tell me she forgot to pick up my alcohol. So let me get a glass. You know what? I always avoid these glasses like the plague, but it seems like a good mead glass. All right. Hope that didn't make anybody seasick. If it did make somebody seasick, sorry. Hey, baby. All right. Hey, call your mom's back. Help her carry groceries then, please. All right, let's see. What's up, Cameron? Welcome to it. Oat milk. Love the stuff. Oat milk? What oat milk? I don't know that I've ever had oat milk. Oh, nice, Brack. Yeah, I just got back from work a little bit ago. Got to play maybe like one match of Apex and then came to sit down for this. So, that's a good sound. This is Puppies of the Apocalypse. Mellow Vino. Sergio can tell you guys in the comments. Oh, he looks like he is. We fermented Merlot and Chambourcin grape juice with blackberry blossom honey for that one. That sounds freaking awesome. Oh, it smells like it's going to burn. Yeah, I smell that. So when we got home, somebody was cooking out some meat. I don't know about you guys, but Samantha just sent me a picture from the grocery store where, well, actually, I'll just show you guys what's going on in Jefferson City, Tennessee. For some reason, I wonder. Completely empty grocery store shelves of meat. So, don't know why. Macaroni and cheese is gone, she said. All kinds of stuff. Hi, Andrew Pleasure. Oh, hey, buddy, have you ever bothered with monotubs, and what's your opinion on them? I have not bothered with them much, and I don't think that they're bad. I think that it's actually potentially very good for very small grows. I've been wanting to do a hobby series since I've always kind of focused on like that small business side. All right, wait. Right.
They had spam, though.
They had spam? We're all good then. Oh, my gosh. Sergio, this smells amazing. And blackberry is my favorite. My people have called me Bear my entire life, and I guess blackberry is stuck in. But even Jack, one of my employees, apparently his family calls me Bear too. So, oh my God, that is smooth. Samantha might even like that. Heck yeah! Oh, I think we found election night drink. Anyways, SB, my opinion on monotubs. Collier, you're about 7 years too young. 7 years too young. 21. From 14 to 21. But SB, I think that it's probably a good way to go for a hobbyist. Boy, you are about to get your butt kicked. Your mom's still carrying in groceries, isn't she?
No, there was only one more bag left. She's going to get both of them at the same time.
I want to do a series on hobby grows and really just like small stuff. I want to do like a fish tank on the kitchen table where we're growing like reishi and things like that are just in constant use of the kitchen, like a fresh pick, just terrarium. But yeah, I think that monotubs are worth it if you're not planning on doing commercial size grows. Dude, I followed your oats tech and loving it, seeing first signs of life last night. Thanks so much for making life easier for us all. You're welcome, Jason. I'm glad it worked for you. Hey, from Alderney. What's up, Gareth? SB said no. No what? Oh, you didn't lose me. Gotcha. I made liquid culture with honey, and after I sterilized it, I noticed some particles floating in the culture, so I dumped it. What do you think that might have been? I mean, I get floaters all the time, crazy booter. I always get sediment even with my own recipe, and so it like if you swirl it, like it'll settle, but then it'll look clear. But then when you swirl it, it looks cloudy. That's pretty normal. And honey, I don't use a lot of, but I imagine that there are reasons why that's the case. Hey, give me 1 second. Hey, Ben. Hey, I was just calling. Samantha forgot to grab some beer, and I didn't know if you wanted to grab some on your way home. All right, man. Thank you. Just want what? Yeah, Yingling will be fine, or hard cider. Sounds good. Kind of a fruity night anyways. One of the people on the live stream here reminded me that they sent me some mead, and so I just busted that out. I'll save you some. Dude, there's this Puppies of the Apocalypse I figured was the proper one to open first, right? Yes, it's amazing. So, yeah, man, let me jump off here. I'll see you when you get home. Oh, I'll save you some apocalyptic mead for sure. All right, see you. Sorry, guys, that was Ben. He's going to float in here in a little bit tonight. So, What's up, Dwayne Robinson? Man, welcome to the chat. Thomas from Vienna. Wow. I guess you're really avoiding the election with us. Just started following you on Instagram. Just a fellow mycologist and a mushroom enthusiast. Well, welcome, Salted Salt. Thank you for following me on Instagram. Did you follow Myco Miner or Mossy Creek Mushrooms? Donald, hello from California. Welcome, Donald. Curiosity. Damn, it's 12 a.m. here. I'm going to be tired following this live. I learned so much from you. Thank you, Curiosity. I keep forgetting, man, that we're so international. But that means that there's never a good time. Or rather, there's always a good time.
The thing is, it's recorded and posted later.
Absolutely. It's recorded and posted later. So Sergio says, glad you like that. We should remake that Forest Dwellers mead commercially at my place. Dude, that sounds amazing. I would love to see, like, I don't know, maybe a limited run of just like that cooking mead, right? Of that Forest Dwellers. That reminds me, I need to go open that stuff. That's probably ready by now. The one I made in the video. Oh, man. Speaking of bears, had one knock down my feeder last night. Luckily, it didn't break it. That's awesome. Bears are comical, man. I love watching them. They're like drunk toddlers. I mean, I like watching them. Like, even when I've met them in the woods, they've not been that bad to me. So, Shroomerella wants to know, hold on. I'll wait. Samantha's pouring out the dog food and the cat food into our bins. Will lion's mane do well at 45 degrees Fahrenheit? Shroomerella, it will grow at that temperature. It is incredibly slow. But I have had it grow down to that temperature. If you can get it up into the 50s, it would do much better. Boy, those cats, they see you pouring out that food.
No, they're hungry.
They're all in the door screaming at you. Please do. I would love that. The video. Gotcha. Yeah. I'll be contacting you to get some liquid syringes from you within the next week, my friend. Love the live streams. Absolutely, Scott. You're welcome anytime, man. I got a lot of stuff that's about to be listed on the website. Ben is on full-time with us now, which means baggers will be coming out like crazy. I don't know when the price increase happens, but they're planning on getting those on the website this week. So 1 second, we're about to have some noise. Do it. God, I love watching that woman work. All right. Oh, yeah. What's good, brother? What's up, Ocean? Welcome back, man. You're a vet, and you were saying ignore the election. Seems legit. So I'm not a vet. I've never made it a veteran status. I went to boot camp and combat training, MCT. That was it. I'm not a vet, so don't get me there. Never actually served in a foreign country or did anything like that. I got a medical discharge in MCT. That said, we did go vote. I'm not saying don't vote. If you look at the description, it actually says go vote. And then let's just white knuckle this stuff. Let's hold fast, right? And just wait till tomorrow to find out what happened. Let's just ignore all the divisive stuff, man. Let's just hide out in our bunkers. Let's see. That's right. Be in good company. Be of good cheer. I harvest chaga and reishi all the time up here in upstate New York, and Caro syrup works well, nice and clear. Good. Yeah, I've used Caro on my first liquid cultures years ago. So that was before I knew. Oh, hold on. That was before I knew all the importance of like the lids, the proper seals and stuff on lids. So, just wanted to make that clear. So whatever bad results I had with Caro were not of a Caro nature, rather it was just poor lids. So tonight's live stream is going to be very sloppy tonight, guys. I am not going to lie to you. It's just going to be a hanging out, and let's just do what we do. Let's talk shit about mushrooms. We're with it. We're outside of 10 minutes, so. Okay. I have one bag that has some orange-colored mite growing. Any input? It's only on the top of my substrate and up the side of my bag, none in the substrate. That sounds like Neurospora. That is a contaminant that will spread like wildfire. Usually brought around by heat. I think the cats are trying to steal something from Truffle, and Truffle is not happy. Listen to that. Salted Salt says Mossy. Mossy what? Let's see. Are we all getting drunk for the end of the world tonight? I'm not gonna get drunk. I don't actually like getting drunk. I don't know why. I've never liked that feeling. Well, maybe once or twice a year I like to get good and hammered, but not really. Really, not really. That's just to like solve the wild side. Hi from Canada. Well, hello, Robert from East Tennessee. Hey man, sent you a message on Insta about sauna steamers. Just wondering if you saw it, or if that kind of grower was that a kind of grower question faux pas. Well, so apologies, but everything I see isn't very helpful. T. Walker, I have not noticed it yet, man. I am the only person doing any sort of correspondence. So emails, phone calls, text messages, Instagram messages, Facebook messages are handled by Melanie, thankfully. But other than that, I handle it all. And I don't know, like, if you guys realize the amount of messages and emails and stuff I get, and I am learning all this stuff on the fly. So I am actively looking for a personal assistant to just basically handle correspondence and then just filter stuff through for me in life. So, T. Walker, I'll try to get to it as fast as I can, man. I still owe 3 people who sent in informal, applications, we'll say, for the personal assistant job. And I mean, they've been on hold for 2 days. So a bear ate my neighbor in Alaska. That sounds terrible, Enrique. Mayshrooms LLC. Hello from the May Twins. What's up, Mayshrooms? May Twins of the Mayshrooms. I'll have to check you guys out. I was thinking that I had followed someone named Mayshrooms on Instagram. Hello from Wyoming. Well, Jordan, hello from East Tennessee, man. Show us the aquarium. Well, it's not very impressive right now. So the aquarium is literally, this is my overwintering tank for the household outdoor water gardens for anything tropical. So I've got papyrus here. There's taro there. Ugh, I can't get the leaf off, but I've got some taro starts. There is water spinach and some watercress, which the watercress can stay outside pretty well. So, and all it is inside is just pots and then my guppy tanks. So give me a second and I'll see if we can see some guppies, but I don't know that that's going to be very likely. No, you can kind of see them. So I've basically got it set up as a black water tank, and a lot of that comes from, I've got a worm bin that's over here behind me, and all of our kitchen scraps go in the worm bin, and then when you pour water over it to kind of flush it, and in that comes out a black kind of a liquid. That black liquid we call wormweed, and I actually got this from Jason, who used to work for me, and he and his wife started their own business now, so they're doing their own thing, which, Robin still works for me too, but Jason's the one that told me about using that wormweed, and I pour it in the tank. And I just poured it in a few days ago. It's starting to clarify now, but it makes it black every time. And then as the plants absorb everything, they start to clarify that water. So that's the fish tank. It's not very impressive. I've got some driftwood in there, and that slowly rots. I stopped using any sort of bought-in fertilization for the plants. So stuff like Flourish XL, which I do still have a bottle of right there. So all it is fish food and then wormweed. That's all that goes in those tanks. And, man, that water spinach, it's growing 6 to 7 inches a day right now in this tank. So we'll see how that goes. But there you go. SB, I hope that we cleared it up for you. That's my messy, messy tank. Pretty much everything about my personal life right now at home is just messy. So do you up your humidity for pinning or just let them do their thing? So I keep my humidity pretty steady. And by that, I mean that I let it fluctuate heavily. And I know that those two sound nonsensical when put together. But what I mean is that I have my humidistat set on a low end of 65% and a high end of 95%, and that allows for long periods of fog and long periods of drying out, which much like what mushrooms would experience. Like they'd experience typically higher amounts of condensation, humidity at nighttime, and particularly in the morning and the evenings when there's condensation happening and and then it has those dry periods like it would experience during the day. So that's what I do with my humidity. Do you send liquid cultures to the Channel Islands? If I ship to Canada, are the Channel Islands, those are just off Canada, aren't they? Are they a completely different nation, or can I just ship to Canada, Channel Islands? So if that's the case, then I do ship to the Channel Islands. No, thank you, Google. I do not want live election results right now. That's the whole point of this. Garrett, if you have any problems with it, email me. Maybe we'll figure out something. What substrate for Dryad saddle? I don't know yet. I have a clone. I'll be working with it some, but I've never grown Dryad saddle. Just now cloned it this summer, so I want to see how it works. How long can you hold on to sterilized spawn or substrate bags before inoculating? Sergio, I've held on to them for weeks, sometimes months. I don't think that that's advisable. Anything that didn't get killed will eventually start growing. But I found that so long as the bags have self-sealed or vacuum sealed, they don't have they don't get a lot of growth going on in them. And whether that's from stuff not being seeded into it or whatever's existing still there is not opening up, endospores are not germinating, that kind of thing, because they don't sense oxygen. I'm not sure, but I've held on to them for some time. It's always best to use them as fresh as possible, but you can hold on to them for some long time. Curiosity says, the room you use made with the wood structure and the plastic tarp, do you do anything to the wood to keep it protected from mold and humidity? We just spray it with the pressure washer, and then it gets a light bleach mist. So 5% bleach solution is what Samantha just said. Yo, I've been meaning to ask you. You guys are starting to go past me. Yo, I've been meaning to ask you about your website. Did you pay someone to build it, or is it like a Shopify sort of thing? When you clone to LC, will you further isolate on Agar if LC performs great? Okay, so 2 questions there. The first one is Melanie builds my website. Melanie manages my website. She has for 2 to 3 years now. We hired her when she knew little about it, and she has been working on learning it and building it at the same time that we have been learning to operate the business. So it's actually worked out really well. Your second question is, when you clone to LC, will you further isolate on Agar if the LC performs great? Yeah, normally so if I clone to liquid culture, like straight from a wild mushroom into liquid culture, I will grow that out in a block. So that goes from liquid culture to grain spawn to fruiting block to mushroom, and then I clone it again. And I usually clone to Agar or LC from that one because it is almost always cleaner out of the grow room than it is from the wild. So Quinn asked, do you ever hear about adding coconut water to liquid culture? I use Caro plus coconut water, but I don't know what the coconut water does. Just saw it in a recipe before I knew anything about it works. So William Padilla Brown uses that quite a bit, I think. And it is something I'm going to try. I have bought in nutritional yeast flakes. I have bought in peptone, activated charcoal. Oh my gosh, I can't remember everything else I've ordered, but a bunch of things that I'm going to try out several different variations of liquid culture recipes. My thoughts are, chances are, none of them are going to add too much of an advantage. I mean, how much time can we really, I inoculate liquid culture, it's almost always ready within 10 days. I don't know how much more time you can squeeze out of that, and I really don't know that it's really economically worth it, but we'll see. Hello from St. Augustine, Florida. Rock on. Thank you, Michael. Rock on. Amchi says, not a serious question. Gotcha. Ocean Infinite, thanks, bro. Wouldn't be here where I am without the vids and help. Well, man, I'm glad to help. I really am. I'm glad to see so many people have found this useful. So I'm just shopping around for the steamers. Was looking for a little advice. Get it in your own time. No worries, man. So T Walker, I'll say that what we use for a sauna steamer, and we'll be getting another one. 9 kilowatts will operate a 300-gallon trough. A 300-gallon trough will do a full ton of wet substrate. 170 12-pound bags comes to, I'm not a math person, 170 times 12. 170 times 12. And I cannot see with this light. 2,040 pounds, a little over a full ton. Skill Gods, man, welcome back. Saw that you missed the last chat. Saw that comment. Starting a mushroom farm up in New York at Foggy Forest Mushrooms, and my aunt that lives in Tennessee said she's friends with Mark Miller. No shit. You know Mark, or you know someone who knows Mark? Dude, Mark's the best. You'll have to like email me or something. Let me know about what your aunt's name is or something, so I can tell Mark. But that's hilarious. He will not like his name being said on chat. He's a I don't know what you call it. Technophobe? He's not a technophobe. He's definitely not a technophobe. He's a private person. He values his privacy. That's exactly, yeah, there we go. Hey, just wanted to pop in and say hello. Your King Blue is populating my grains great. Just about to do a 3rd gen of spawn doubling. You're the best. Thank you, Darian. Dude, I hope you really enjoy that strain. If you haven't grown it to fruit yet, I hope it's gonna blow your mind, man. I love that strain. And the spawn run on it is so fast. I have blocks sometimes ready in like 7 days with that strain. So I'm glad you like it. Curiosity says, question 2, using the incubation room to feed the fruiting room with oxygen, too much CO2, is it feasible? So I used to do it. It is not ideal. You do want fresh air from elsewhere for your grow room if you can help it, because you always want as much oxygen as possible and really as low CO2 as possible. But you can do it for sure. And I did it. In fact, I did it in a way that we harvested heat off of the incubation room. So the Channel Islands are between England and France. I'll email you. Okay, Gareth. I'm sorry. I obviously, like most Americans, I'm terrible with geography. There's America and not America. So oh shoot. All right. Main Cap and Stem wants some more of our strains. I just got done talking to Eric. Let's see. How long have you been growing for? So, Les, it depends on what you mean by that, but commercial license in 2013, DBA for 3 years before that to 2010. And then before that, I started growing mushrooms in 2008, about the same time that I started going to college for microbiology. But not in any kind of commercial scale. That was just me learning at that time. So what, 2008 to 2020, about 12 years I've been growing mushrooms. Diego P says, aquaponics kind of. Vermicompost extract also have beneficial nitrogen-fixing bacteria and other microorganisms to feed plants. Yeah, I mean, that's kind of what I was reading, is that the worm bin is really best for the microbial population. That said, I had no idea what it would do to my fish tanks, but I started using it as an experiment because, like I said, Jason had mentioned it to me. That's If It's Fish that comes on the chats occasionally. And Jason's a fish guy. Like, he knows this shit when it comes to fish. And so we feed the worm poop to fish, and it seems like it really works. It definitely is working out really well. It is kind of an aquaponic form. I have a dream of really doing so one of our grow rooms at the shop, at the warehouse, is going to be an aquaponics room almost entirely devoted to tilapia production, some snail production, like edible snails. But I am going to focus on almost entirely aquatic vegetation, edible aquatic vegetation. So stuff like watercress, water spinach, water chestnuts, things like that, so on and so on. There are many edible vegetables. Taro is one of them. And I've been experimenting for the past couple of years with growing them and saving them throughout the year and trying to see what they should do. And I think that, you can sell aquatic vegetation. Hey, here goes one of my black soldier flies. But I think that that vegetation can be sold at a premium because it's aquatic, number one. And number two, it actually cleans the water for the fish better than terrestrial plants normally would, like in an aquaponic setting, because a lot of aquatic plants can take up ammonia directly. Maybe it's ammonium directly. But anyways, they get to hijack an earlier part of the nitrogen cycle and are still capable of harvesting nitrogen and using it for themselves. But they can just uptake stuff much earlier in the process than what a lot of terrestrial plants can. And then number 3, it just makes a lot more sense to me because aquatic vegetation is made to grow in water. It grows at a prodigious rate. Like I said, my water spinach is growing like 6 to 7 inches a day right now with this kind of light cycle I've got. And it's just blowing my mind at how fast it grows. So even if it wasn't like super high value, the sheer amount of volume would be worth it. So something to think about there. This is all for a future project that Ben and I and Samantha are working on right now. What do you use for sterilization of large amounts of substrate? Well, we don't sterilize large amounts of substrate. We ultra pasteurize. We use a trough with a 300-gallon trough for atmospheric steam sterilization. That's actually pasteurization. I don't know why they call it steam sterilization when it's pasteurization, whatever. And we use a homemade boiler that we have, but we'll be getting some sauna steamers and running them that way soon. So, can I email you a pic of the possible neurospora and what's the best way to get rid of the block? Yeah, email it to me, man. I mean, we just throw it out in our compost. Neurospora spreads like wildfire for some reason on the inside, and then on the outside, it dies off. It does not like cold. I'll tell you that. Since the cold weather's come on, we don't have nearly as much problems. So, I love the headline. Thanks, Sean. Appreciate it. Question 3, do you use a preconditioning room for the fruiting space, temperature only, and why? We have an airlock that's outside every grow room, and that is where we do condition most of our air at the moment. That said, we've got some HVAC that Ben's been installing and having installed by our HVAC guy. And we've got a 5-ton unit to run the grow rooms. We got another smaller one. I don't remember what size for the walk-in. And another unit that we've got getting installed. So don't really know what else going on there. But it's mainly for temperature and give us a place to work outside of the grow room without being, in the grow room. And I do that because it keeps my ventilation cleaner without spores all over it. So in LC, how should mycelium look like? Does it sink, float, condense into a glob-like formation? So, Wes, that's going to depend entirely on what you're growing. Everything behaves differently. So, for instance, patty straw mushroom typically it floats a lot for me. A lot of shiitakes tend to sink and collect at the bottom so that before I stir my culture, it looks like a tiny amount of mycelium. Once I stir it, it's filled and thick. Oysters tend to just all the way through, up and down. They grow a film on the top. Most of my oyster LC is so thick that it almost looks like a jelly when you shake the jar. So, hey, Yggdrasil, I'm doing all right, man. I think my boy's in there playing Destiny. I don't know if you play that one, but he's over there doing some stuff now. So if you see me on, it's not me. Sean, appreciate you sharing your knowledge. Enjoy learning, even though I have yet to start a hobby grow. Need time to start. Hey, Sean, we all got to start somewhere, man. And thank you. Tristan, hey, Matt. Oh, Andrew, sorry. Don't know why I corrected it to that. No worries, Matt. Oh, gosh, Tristan. I'm Matt. Andrew. Just wanted to say hello and thank you. Y'all inspired me to start my own production and start researching my own strains. Please continue being so nice, Lowell. I'm trying, man. I want to be as nice as I can possibly be. If we cannot get this freaking lid supply situation figured out, I don't understand why it takes months to get orders of lids, but whatever. I'm trying to be nice. Ball's about to get an angry phone call from me.
I spoke to the co-op.
You spoke to the co-op today?
I spoke to him at the co-op, and he said that he has been trying to get them in at the co-op for about 3 months now.
The co-op's been trying to get lids for 3 months?
And he said that they're completely out, so we're really lucky that we couldn't start ordering when we did. Because, at least it's in the making.
My goodness, man.
Even though they're sending us updates.
Right.
He's not even able to place an order.
Really? Oh, he can't even get an order.
And that's with ball and curve.
So at least we got an order in. So he said, Savannah just said that was with Ball Anchor. So our contact at the local farmers co-op, they're more like a distribution hub, but they're apparently having a hard time getting lids and stuff. But yeah, I'm going to continue being nice, man. Are you familiar with what causes the yellowing of lion's mane? How about yellow, ugly, blue oysters? Yellow, ugly, blue oysters kind of sounds like bacterial blotch. If you're having that and on lion's mane, it may be bacterial blotch on your lion's mane as well. A lot of times with lion's mane, it's that you've gotten water directly on the mushrooms. They bruise, they yellow. Lion's mane does not like getting wet. So you never want to actually spray it directly or have a pressure. This is one of the reasons why I stay away from pressure misting systems, low or high. And I know a lot of people really get into the high pressure misting systems. They do produce a decent fog, but they still drip. The low pressure systems are way worse. So I don't know. So I don't know if you guys know, I breed black soldier flies, and so every now and then we have an escapee. But have you ever seen a situation where multi-sport culture outperforms all of the individual isolates held with said multi-sport culture? Thank you. Clarify your question for me, Ocean. I'm not sure I get exactly what you're saying. Can you speak about your experiences on what mushrooms look like when things go bad and what to look out for? If you mean like contamination, usually if you've got a mushroom that is ooey gooey drippy, that's usually bad. I like my mushrooms to stay dry. That's one of the reasons why I use the House of Hydro fog. It keeps the mushrooms dry while still giving them a particle size of water that's very easy for them to pick up. What is it? Molds, obviously, you want to stay away from. Flies. Flies are probably the absolute worst offender. Those little phorid and scarid flies. I'm not sure exactly which one it is that's attracted to the fungus, and then there's one that's like attracted to the metabolites. Either way, those are bad. You want to keep your room from being drippy and wet. So, Wes, you're welcome. Snake just said Fehu. It's called Fehu. What's called Fehu? Which rune is called Fehu? Or are you not talking about runes? What are you talking about? What ball lids do you order? Typically the wide mouth. I'm trying to order cases and cases and cases because we've got so many orders on back order. I had to take the items off the website, like put them as out of stock. And so we ordered like cases months ago and haven't gotten any. So
it took as many orders as what we had ordered.
Yeah.
That they had said was going to be in at a certain time.
So what's going on is we ordered them months ago. I mean, I ordered back in August, and then I ordered another set in September. And what happens is we'll get like an update that's like delivery is your shipment is arriving on such and such a day. That day comes around, and then we get a notification, hey, your order's been delayed. You know, that kind of thing. So I tried to make some King Stropharia liquid culture with honey water. It did not grow. Do Stropharia need a different LC mix? Actually, I don't know about that, Shrimarella. I use my liquid culture premix. I've never had a problem growing wine cap with that. So if you can get malt extract and corn dextrose, you might switch over to that and try that instead of honey. I've never worked with honey as far as liquid culture goes, so I have no idea what stuff looks like. I will say that I get comment after comment after comment about how thick my liquid culture is compared to other people. It's that I think is part of the nutritional profile of the malt and the corn dextrose, but also all the stirring I do. So I'm not entirely sure if honey's your problem or if there might be another problem there. I don't know how to answer that one. Sorry. I'm about to pop open 44 12-pound bags of your strains. Hey, I can't wait. My aunt is Denise Haley. She works at the University of Tennessee. Denise Haley. All right. I'll have to check that out. I didn't know if you'd be comfortable saying her name out or not. So let me see if I can let him know. What was it? Haley. See if he responds to that. Do you think music sound can affect flushes? A friend of mine who's the hippie type swears it does. I don't know, Quinn. I've always wondered I have some hippy dippy BS myself.
They say it does with plants.
They say it does with plants. I don't know that it does.
Yeah, can I take the lemon tree out of the sink?
Yes, you can take the lemon tree out of the sink. I was just watering it, and I figured you didn't want to get like water all in the like dirt water in the floor. My brother bought me a lemon tree. Nah, I don't play Destiny. Yeah, Yggdrasil, I don't either. It's too much grind. That's all it is. It's like you grind to grind so that you can grind so that you can get a cool new weapon so you can grind with it. It's like having another job. Tried to hit with some type of electric current to stimulate mycelium. I have heard about that. I have seen people. It seems to me like it's pretty good science that does affect. That said, I don't know that it's economically feasible or worth it. I do have some Petri dish tests that I'm wanting to do to run Petri dish, Agar, and run wire through it. And test that to see if I can do different frequencies, like use an oscilloscope to change the frequencies and the different power levels of the electric current that runs through that wire and through the Agar to see if it does anything. So how do I or we get that sweatshirt you were wearing? You don't. That is a limited run from the very early days, like the first year of the Commercial Mushroom Growers Network. You can't even read it anymore.
There you go.
But that it was when we joined the CMGN. I would think I was like the number 10 member or something like that. And let's see, they have. I don't remember what it was exactly. We got a few people in there, maybe 100, maybe like a little less than 100, and people were like, "Hey, let's get these made up." And Joey Schlegel, which was the guy who created that network, he's a marketer now. He liked baseball, so he made like this World Series style mushroom shirt, which I don't care about baseball, but I do like the sweatshirt. It's very comfortable. Can I use coffee filters on the lids for filtering during the sterilization process? Scott, those are not going to be sound filters for microbiological use.
Maybe we can make up a remembrance design to honor it or something. Honor the good old days, right?
Gotcha. Sharing your knowledge is Fehu. Oh, okay. I see what you're saying. Like the deeper meaning behind the rune. Understood. Yeah. Thank you. Do you remember what your flow hood filter cost? Mine was about $2,000. Mine's too old, and I'm trying to make sure I don't pay too much, but I still get working filter. So, I mean, Ben just built a new one for me, and I ordered the filter and the fan. And I think even with those two, it was close to $1,000 just for those two. Then you had the wood and the labor and everything. So, I mean, it was about half off for this new one just because we built the cabinet ourselves. Rather, Ben did. I didn't have anything to do with it. And Ben does build filters for people. He's built one and shipped it across the country to someone recently. He responded on a live stream, and someone from up north said their aunt knew you. Mushroom farmer from up north. How's that? That sounds a little more distinguished. Let's see. But yeah, so the filters, mine cost about $2,000 when I bought it completely, plus the shipping. Once we had everything shipped, like bought and shipped to us to build the next one, it was about $1,000 plus the labor and the wood of putting it together. And he said that's hilarious. Let's see. Yeah, so maybe that gives you an idea. Now, I know that Eric Myers sells some all-in-one units that are about $700 to $800. I don't know what the shipping is on those. I've heard from people that those are pretty good. I looked into them. They are literally ceiling units, and they say on them that they are not for flow hood use, basically. They are to use, or at least they are not to be used as flow hood use unless you have a low particle count room. So they're not supposed to be used for a high particle count room like a kitchen or whatever. But, I'm hearing a lot of people are getting away with it. So you can get jars in Texas. I can't, man. And Ball is right next door to us. You get here in East Tennessee.
Where do you get them at in Texas? Because we need to go there.
Yeah. Ship me up some from Texas. I just came off Ben Balderson's farm for 3 months. He is a heathen and teaches the runes and heathen way on his farm. Loving what you've done, brother. Thank you. Appreciate that. How long can you keep a sterilized bag before inoculation? Gareth, I get this question a lot. Earlier in the chat, I was telling people that it can be weeks or months sometimes. I mean, it really depends on how clean it is, how sealed it is, how well it's stored, temperature variations, that kind of stuff. But I have left stuff for weeks, sometimes months, but it's always better to use it as fresh as possible. So hope that answers the question. And Tanis Sulka says, hi, my friends. Well, hello. Hi, Matt. How would you recommend using millet as a spawn material? How would you prepare it? Why am I Matt all of a sudden? Why does everybody think I'm Matt?
I don't know.
So millet, I've never used millet. I try to stay away from it. So it is a finicky grain. I think I did try to use it once. And my understanding is a lot of people boil it and then dry it and then pressure cook it. And they have really good results with that. So I'm not sure. Wes Sauce says, why breed flies? Black soldier fly larva is why you actually want to breed black soldier flies. The black soldier fly that you saw flying around here is not like a normal house fly. It's long, and they have no mouths, no anuses, no nothing. They literally just starve to death after a while. All they can do is breed and fly, pretty much. And they got these big old eyes so that they can see when a female goes by and they can tackle her. The larva will eat anything. They will eat meat. They will eat cardboard. They will eat fungus. They will eat vegetable matter, fruits, whatever. So a lot of people use them to make high-value composts. Does mycelium digest the substrate or only the spawn? If so, should most of the rich substrate be used? It does digest the substrate, but most white rot funguses are never going to fully digest the substrate. If you want to get it to a dirt point, you're going to need to have secondary, tertiary decomposers. So, and that's why a lot of people talk about the idea. I've not seen anybody really do a lot of it, but you can grow a white rot fungus like an oyster mushroom is your first, your primary decomposer. Then a secondary decomposer like Shiitake. And then you can do like a tertiary decomposer like wine cap or something. Which likes a little bit more like dirt-like substrate. Like I said, I've not seen people do this. I've just heard people talk about this. But, yeah, I mean, it definitely will break it down some. Yagder's still curious. When first starting, I can most likely produce around 450 pounds a week. How easily will I be able to start selling to restaurants? Like, can I expect 100, 200, 300 pounds within the first few months? So I can't say yes or no or anything like that. My experience, your first goal is 100 pounds a week. Your second goal is 200 and so on and so on. There is an inflection point, and it doesn't take very long. It didn't take very long for us. Really, the best thing to do is plan to do markets for like the first 6 months to a year. That'll get your name out there for a lot of chefs. But if you want to hit chefs directly, you start getting out there and you've got this chef and maybe 5 or 6 chefs. And, that's not very many. But if you've got each one of those buying from you, as I said on the last live stream, you're talking like $4,800 per year per restaurant that gets a case a week at $80 a case, 10-pound case. So if you get 5 or 6, you got a decent amount of gross coming in. And now they're talking to their friends, or their friends are coming to eat at the restaurant. And what's this mushroom dish? Where are you getting these mushrooms? Man, those mushrooms look great. That kind of thing. And so at some point, they start selling themselves for you. Like, we didn't really have to work that hard to get our clients. In fact, we have to turn people away pretty regularly. So
It took you, 2 weeks to start selling mushrooms to the food trucks at market?
Yeah, I mean, we were at market maybe 2 weeks, and I started selling to the food trucks. And that was the first from food trucks, and then we finally got.
And then they told their friends,
right?
Who had brick and mortars.
They told their friends who had brick and mortars, and they started buying, or rather, buying from us at market.
One started buying it.
Right.
At market.
One started buying from market.
And then we had enough consistency with him for about 3 to 4 months that the others were like, okay, we'll buy in.
Samantha said that we showed him that we had enough consistency, and then people were like, okay, we'll start buying from him. And that is true. When I just straight up approached restaurants, nobody really wanted to deal with me because they were like, small mushroom farmers will promise you the moon, and they'll never deliver because they're inconsistent. But you get in and you start slogging through, and you show every week I'm producing the same number of blocks. The same number of blocks are producing roughly the same number of mushrooms with some minor fluctuations, variations. That is then allowing me to sell the same amount. I always undersold a little bit so that I would have extras, because when you've got the kind of profit margin that you do on mushrooms, it pays to throw some away to have that consistency. But if you find that you're throwing them away week after week, then you now know, okay, I can take that and I can use those as samples for new restaurants and so on and so on. And you've proven that you have that consistency. So,
and I will also say that one of the toughest challenges is being kind of seen or viewed as being the same as people before you. Like other mushroom farmers having gone before us and then kind of soured the chefs on a few things, and then we came through, and so
we had to work through a lot of bad reputation for mushroom farmers that people had built up previously. So Samantha's right. Yeah, you can like, in fact, I mean, maybe we've built up enough goodwill that somebody's going to like live off some of our goodwill that we've built up. Froggy says, yeah, I have a cabinet, but my filter is too old and low flow. I'm going to turn my cabinet sideways and use the 2x4 side instead of the old 2x2 I've been using. Just wondering on the filter. You can just buy a filter like $500, I think, a replacement filter. Have it shipped to you for another $50 to $100, depending on what freight is to you. There's a company in California that's U.S. Oh, I can't remember. If you go on Fungi Perfecti's website, fungi.com, you'll see who their provider is. You can go straight to them. There's also a provider out of Florida. If you just type in Florida flow hood cabinets, I'd go with an American supplier if you can get it. I live in a well-populated area, lots of restaurants. Okay, Yagder, so then you probably have an easier time. So the Stropharia LC I bought also did not grow on grain. I guess that means the LC was no good. Okay, Shrimrel, that could mean that your LC was no good. Let's see, you're in Romania, so you would have gotten that from, I have no idea, in Romania. I don't know who sells it, liquid culture in Europe. And yeah, the stealing units are not good enough for my use. Yeah, Froggy, that's, if you want, especially if you ever want to get to a Category 5 lab, which I do want to one day, you're going to have to really work to make sure you have all the right equipment, all your ducks in a row, etc. So, ever try to grow pink oyster when too cold? What happened? So, yeah, I mean, we grow pink oysters in the wintertime all the time. They grow down to the low 50s pretty easily. What happened? You got some of the meatiest pink oysters you've ever had. They were better quality than any pink oyster I've ever come across, and they were blood red.
They also took forever to grow.
They did take forever to grow. 4 pink oysters. I mean,
yeah.
Still faster than a blue.
That's true.
Do you have any different temp zones in your grow room? Nah, not really. What temps do you keep throughout the year? And again, thanks so much for your help. Well, in the warehouse, it fluctuates wildly because we don't have our HVAC set up yet. All we have is a single air conditioning unit to just keep it from getting too hot if we can, a little window unit. And, it just kind of barely hits it. The temperature zones, we don't really have those. Again, my ideal, if I could keep it at anything I want to do, would be around 60 to 65 degrees. Man, chat's going crazy. Like jumping crazy. Donald Campbell says, seriously what? Mitchell Thompson. Hi, I've just started my first oyster grow in a tub, but my mycelium has become dehydrated, I'm told, and started growing these tree-like feelers upwards. Can I save my oysters? Amateur setup. You can try to rehydrate it. I mean, and see. I'm assuming this is a a bulk substrate, and those tend to rehydrate better than anything that's sterile. I would maybe boil your water first or pressure cook it before and let it cool before adding it, so that it would be at least somewhat cleaner. What would you recommend to use as filters on the lids? For your liquid culture lids, I use syringe filters that are press fitted with just a dab of RTV silicone to give them a little texture to hold on to. The press fit really holds better, but the RTV silicone just kind of fills in any gaps that might be there. If you're talking about Grain Master, I use white, the plastic freezer lids that don't seal. And then I buy synthetic filter discs from Shroom Supply or Fungi Perfecti, and then just tap a couple holes in my white lid, place the filter in it, put it on a jar, done. I'm here to vote. Is this the right spot? Yeah, Lee. You can vote on me being the best mushroom grower there is. Or not. Bragg Hogan says, I'm about to try growing Cordyceps militaris fruit bodies with eggs, rice, malt, and yeast as a substrate. It's a recipe Lenny Rockwell has. Hopefully they'll pan out. Just wanted to share my side project. Bragg, that sounds awesome. If you're on Facebook, join the Cordyceps Cultivation group run by, I think it's Ryan Paul Gates. Dude is a master. And make sure you pick up some Cordyceps strains from him. He is like he and William Padilla Brown are and there's another guy, Appalachian Gold. I can't remember his name, but the Appalachian Gold guy has got some really good stuff too. So check that out. Also check out his Instagram. He's got a cool Instagram page that I don't know how regularly he updates, but Donald Campbell says, millet, I use rye berry, thinking of using oats after watching you. Yeah, man, I like oats way more. After a 12-pound bag is fully colonized, how long do you think it will be okay before cutting it open? I mean, honestly, Skill, I try to open them as quickly as possible for oysters because I don't like it when anything starts to fruit in the bag. It increases your risk for infection in the grow room. So sorry I made you mad. No worry, Tristan. It does seem to have stuck, doesn't it? If I don't have bags of filter patch here in Peru, how can I solve that? What I've seen is a lot of people in like Chinese areas, like provinces. I cannot remember the name of the province where they grow like most of the mushrooms in the world, but they use polyfill bags, like just poly material, not polyfill, polypropylene, could be polyethylene bags that are just the tube bags. You dump your substrate in and your spawn, and you drop your substrate in. They put a little ring. They take the plastic, put a ring on it, fold that plastic down, stuff it with polyfill, which should be two materials that are universally available throughout most of the world. Pasteurize that. Once that's pasteurized, you can then take it to your lab, pull the polyfill out, drop your spawn in there, put it back. It means that you'll be top spawning. It does take longer to grow than a mixed bag, but if you do it every regular cycle, you do it every week, the same amount of bags and whatnot, you will eventually catch up to you, and then you've got everything you need going. So that might be a way for you to go. And you're welcome. Ocean Air, if you have a culture that is from spores, is it a rule that the cultures you isolate out of it will perform better than the original parent multi-spore culture? Well, I hope that makes more sense. Okay, so Ocean Air, yeah, sometimes if you're doing like an isolate, sometimes they will outperform. A lot of times they won't. It's kind of a 50-50. Typically, if you take a strain that has any sort of breeding done to it, so let's say you take Lambert's or Amacil's Blue Oyster. So Amacil 3015, right? You got Amacil 3015 that has been bred. It is pretty much this. It's been isolated to be very, very pure. You take that and you breed it with itself. You're most likely just going to generation after generation see an oyster that looks primarily like that Amacil 3015. It won't be until you cross it with something that you'll get a wide variety of phenotypes and physiological behaviors like growth times and incubation runs and things like that. So it's kind of a crapshoot, but if you take a good strain and you breed it with itself, like a spore isolate like that, you are likely to get a strain that's very similar to its parent. Not always. You can eventually see more and more recessive traits. But if there aren't that many recessive traits there, you're not going to be seeing a lot of variety. So hope that helps. Man, you passed your congestion on to me.
I didn't do anything. I think it's all the dead leaves and rotting matter.
You're rotting matter. Dune says, just a quick hello. Got to go. See ya. Oh, man, Dune, say, man. By the way, I'm hopeful about the upcoming movie, The Spice Must Flow. Me too. The Spice Must Flow. The Spice Must Flow. How many spawn bags to get 100 pounds? 100 pounds of spawn? If you do 5-pound bags, then, 20. If you're talking about 100 pounds of mushrooms spawn bags, you can do that with one spawn bag. Let's see, 100 pounds of mushrooms. If you divide that by 2.5, right? We'll just do some math real quick. Be easy. 100 pounds divided by 2.5 is 40. So there you go. You produce 40 bags every week. You will make 100 pounds every week. Reasonably so. Not counting second flushes. So you'll actually be producing more if you hold on for second flushes. So I do one 5-pound bag of spawn to roughly anywhere between 20 and 50 12-pound blocks. So let's say you're making 12-pound blocks and you're doing 40. You can make a single bag of spawn, make that 100 pounds of mushrooms easy. You can do another 10 if your work is clean. Now, going one 5-pound bag to 50 12-pound blocks, you do require a little bit more clean work in order to make that work for you. But even if you did 2 and did 25 bags each, you'd still be producing 10 more bags than you need, and freedom block wise, and you'd get 2 varieties. I grew some psilocybin cubensis with your guys' videos, lol. Yeah, I mean, the principles are pretty much the same. Hey, man, first time watching live channels such as yours, aspiring to go full-time in the industry. Love from the UK. Thank you, V. Can you please expand more on the sales obstacles? Sure, Anton. I'm not really... So, I mean, the obstacles, like I said, are primarily the inconsistency that chefs believe you're going to have as a small grower. That said, I mean, that was early on for us. Years later, the mushroom market's like downright frothy, like so many other industries are right now. Sorry, I had a text. The mushroom market being so frothy, like so many other industries are, tells me that there's a much higher demand than what there is supply. It's like much, much higher. That's what's causing it to be so frothy. If we had some supply close to the level of demand, I think demand would actually back off a little bit. It wouldn't be quite so just crazy. It'd be an everyday item. People would be buying it on the regular. They would know it's good for them. They would find it delicious. They would continue on so and so. So as far as obstacles like for the future, I'm not entirely sure. I think eventually, and Ben and I were talking about his next mycological warfare article, I think eventually you'll have competition that comes through, and that's the mycological warfare aspect, right? That we actually talk about competition in the mushroom market, and it will come one day. That said, I kind of envision a United States with a small grower in every small town, or regular town, we'll say, and 2 or 3 small growers for every metro, and each one focusing on its own unique varieties. So like shiitake mushrooms for one farm, oysters for another. And you could potentially have one big farm that does, all 3, like exotics, shiitake, and oysters. Most of the big companies have a lot of baggage when it comes to trying to get their distribution networks to excuse me. When they're trying to get their distribution networks to getting these fresh mushrooms going, portobellos and everything else that have had these distribution networks built, even shiitake, they have these long shelf lives that really allow for the old school way. The new way is going to be much more direct sales, I feel like, at least until something can fill in that gap. And I don't know what that looks like yet. I've been trying to think about it and envisioning it, and I'm not sure what that's going to look like. Honestly, the biggest obstacle for sales right now for me is just having the supply. And right now, coincidentally, the biggest barrier I think we have to having plenty of orders and meeting those plenty of orders is supply chain disruptions. There are bag shortages. There are certain substrate shortages. 1 year, about 2 or 3 years ago, the pellet mills got flooded out. So there was a big hardwood fuel pellet shortage. So knowing, what kind of substrates you can swap out with at a moment's notice, it's like, okay, I can get fir pellets for this. I can use pine pellets for bear's head. I can do, this and this and this. Those will be the kind of obstacles that face us in my opinion, in the burgeoning mushroom market. So the bigger you can get, the more you can network. The more you network, the easier it'll be to plug and play those kind of disruptions. At least until like pellet mills realize, holy crap, there's a big market here for mushroom suppliers. And went like bag manufacturers, like was it UPAC, I think, and a couple other, maybe it's not UPAC. There's somebody that started making mushroom bags recently that's not just unicorn, and that's been a big deal. So, let's see, where are we at? Hey, I do your LC recipe and no grow yet. 3 days passed. I do side by side with honey. The honey one is growing. It takes longer to start and dextrose. What? I thought you were pointing at something.
Nope.
Scratching your arm.
Sorry.
I've never had it take long. Like I said, I've never grown in honey. Usually, if I take a core sample with a needle and I put it in my LC premix recipe that I've got, man, is that why my face is being darkened by the computer? It's because that big bright light behind me. Typically, I see growth by the next day, so I don't know. Without knowing more batch process, getting to see what's going on, it's hard for me to say exactly what's happening. I've had great success with 30-gallon tubs, but struggle with selling 7-gallon tubs. What's up with that? Of what? Typically, the larger the environment, the easier it is to grow in. Good, Alfred. I'm glad you're enjoying this, man. Froggy says, thanks for your help. I'm off. Have a good night, everyone. You too, Froggy. Thanks for the info. Yeah, I've been researching. Honestly, haven't seen any small mushroom farms within 200 miles of me. Yeah, Agar, still, that's a good position to be in. When we started, I think, Samantha, we were the 5th mushroom farm that started in this area.
We were.
When we started, and then now there are very few. I think there's a couple that are starting up now recently. They're more towards Chattanooga, but there are some around here. Who is your favorite video game? Mario Brothers? No, though it's fun. The original was very fun. Super Mario Brothers on the SNES was very fun. Mario 3 was, all right. Now, my favorite video game right now, I would say, is either Ori or Apex. So, seriously, do you want me to send jars from Texas? How many cases? Dude, I can take them. If you're serious, drop me an email. I really need jars and lids. Really lids more than anything.
Rings.
Rings. I need rings. I actually have tons of lids. I'm waiting on rings. I remember you one time mentioned you almost lost some cultures that had a lot of sentimental value to you, but you saved them with water and agar. What exactly happened? Did they just dry out? Yeah, the parafilm on the sides, which I need to do an update video because I've changed my parafilm technique a lot based on a video that I saw a guy do. He's a tiny little channel. I think he's got 7 subscribers, and I saw what he did, and it just blew my mind. So But yeah, they basically just dried out, contaminated, that kind of thing, and almost lost them for that. I will say some strains that I actually did lose that I thought were gone forever, a little less sentimental value, but when we bought out this farm in Atlanta, Georgia, I forgot that he had bought a bunch of those strains off me, and when we bought that, he gave me all of his culture slants. So I just got a ton of, like, the Andromeda oyster. I had lost that one from years and years ago, and he found it, or he had it, and I just got it back, and it's in liquid culture now, about to be put up on the website. Have you tried the stick-on filters and injection ports from Micropose? I have not, but I've tried the stick-on injector ports. I got them from Shroom Supply, but I think they're from Micropose. I have not tried the stick-on filters. That does sound interesting, though. I recently got a tube of blue oyster liquid culture from you guys, and my setup isn't quite ready yet. How can I store my culture in the fridge without any damage to the culture? That little plastic bag we ship in, you can just put it back in that, throw it in your meat drawer, your butter thing, whatever, and just leave it there in the fridge. It won't damage. Blue is incredibly cold tolerant. Thanks, man. I'm trying to get the mycelium to hydrate again. Hopes put one tub into fruiting. But I'd like to say a big thanks to you, and Paul Stamets' books helped loads. Thank you so much. Yeah, man, absolutely, Mitchell. I'm glad we could help. Also, if you like books, check out Radical Mycology by Peter McCoy. That is the new treatise I am calling it. Thank you, Jesse. I appreciate that. Breck says, how long have you let your Maitake incubate, and how did you have the grow bags in the grow room for fruit bodies? I mean, not just the velvet antlers. Tried fruiting, but they dried out, so maybe too open. Okay, so with the Maitake, we made blocks and then let them sit for about 6 months in the airlock. Well, actually, we let them sit about 6 months out in incubation, moved them to the airlock where they got a little cooler. They started fruiting in the bag. And what we did was we let them get a big gray blobby mass to them, like the velvet antlers look. And then we brought the block into the grow room. And, you got substrate here, and then you got the top of the bag. And you got your seal. We cut just below the seal. Hey, Ben. Cut just below the seal. And as they get a little bit more oxygen, they'll start to fan out more. As that continues, every few days or so, we'll go in and cut another inch off the top of that bag and just strips. And what that'll happen is the mushroom is growing up to meet the open airspace, and you are continually cutting down to meet the mushroom. And then eventually you just cut till you're there flush with the substrate, and you've got some nice, pretty fans that are growing. There are other ways to grow them too, but that's the one that I've seen work really well for us. So, Shay, you want to know if I ever grew cordyceps? I have not. I've grown the spawn out before. I've grown the mycelium out. I grow it in liquid culture. I have friends that grow it out. I've had a lot of requests to do videos on it, so I have ordered the supplies in. When that gets here, I will start working on a video for growing Cordyceps militaris. It'll be sometime before it is released, but it will be here. Hey, boss, hope you all are doing well. Just took my first clones yesterday. Wondering about the genetics I now have. Are they the same as the parent I took them from, or a mix? Mushrooms are weird, so most likely, yes, you have the same genetics. But it is so weird. If you take tissue from just above where your spores are, you might have some genetic variation going on. Mushrooms can also move their nuclei in their cell. So you've got mycelial cells, right? Right here, bam, bam. They're growing in a chain in a very linear fashion. So they just bud in one direction, so to speak. When those have grown out to a certain level, a certain chain, they can open their cell walls between each other to basically just exchange fluid, minerals, food, etc. with each other. One of the other things they can exchange are nuclei. So as you get to the leading edge of... Oh, Ben. Careful. Careful. See that light bulb that's poking out there from the door?
Yep.
Okay, just be careful not to... Yeah, I wouldn't open it anymore, and you might be careful on closing it. I didn't realize it was going to sit there. Sorry. So anyways, one of the things they can do is they can exchange nuclei and their nucleus. And what happens with that is, as it's growing, the leading edge can actually be packed can actually be packed with a lot of nuclei. So it is a lot of nuclei. I've said that word so many times, and you're distracting me, so I keep saying it more.
The nuclei going to make you
so
nuclear.
You have a cell on the very end. That nuclei will make me go nuclear for sure. What are we doing for supper, by the way? What are you cooking?
I think we're going to cook a nucleus.
We're going to cook a nucleus. Anyways, they can pack that last cell with nuclei, and it gives the mushroom, the mycelium, a chance to select which set of genes are going to be more useful. Oh my gosh. Well, this got derailed. Man, we've lost like 10 viewers, and I'm literally watching the number go down. Anyways, so you have that nuclei set up there. They'll grow out, so they can start branching out, and that allows them to grow in 4 different directions now, right? I don't know entirely how that all works. So the real answer to your question is yes, you most likely have those genetics. They're mostly all the same, but there are slight variations that you can have. That's why it's important for us to isolate cultures when we clone them. So it was the longest answer. Thanks for not being helpful in that.
I'm sorry, I didn't help either.
Shroomerella, it's 2 a.m. here. Got to go. Thank you all for the knowledge. You're the best. Thank you. Mycology seems to be a good prepper skill. I think so too, Kevin. I think it's a very useful prepper skill. Being able to make black gold, dirt, is a wonderful thing. And being able to grow food on crappy substrates that other things would not want to grow on. Are you looking for the bottle opener? There is also this amazing mead that Sergio sent us, Puppies of the Apocalypse, and it is quite tasty. But it's very dry. I will say I need to go drink some water. This has been a COVID-induced hobby. Oh, wait. So much for information here. Please post this video for future reference. It will be posted. It automatically posts. Jesse Peterson says, this has been a COVID-induced hobby. It's almost like learning a new instrument. Really bad in the beginning, but keep trying to push through. Yes, that is very accurate. I mean, it's most things. Anton, awesome. Thank you. You're very welcome. What would be a cost-effective and ecological sustainable substrate that can be acquired for a small business in a big city like LA? So it depends on what you mean by cost-effective. Probably Douglas fir pellets and alfalfa pellets for your nitrogen source. Do something like a 80-20 mix of Douglas fir to alfalfa pellets. Love the channel and advice, by the way. Thank you so much. You're very welcome. Haha, that was awesome. You're welcome. I'm not sure what was awesome, Snake, but appreciate it. Lance says, vote hashtag Alice Cooper for 2020. I guess that wasn't a hashtag, was it? What is the parafilm secret? The parafilm, I mean, it's literally just the guy that I was watching. I used to take parafilm, cut it at the thin strip, and then stretch that out, and then roll it around multiple times. Literally, this was like the easiest thing I've ever seen. He just cut a big block, took the paper off, folded it in half, and then just wrapped it around. And I was like, oh my gosh, if I do just my normal wrap, it's quadruple sealed. It was so much better. So much easier, so much less time intensive. What do you use to make your liquid culture? Malt extract, corn dextrose. 1 part malt extract, 5 parts corn dextrose. Mix in a tub. Use 20 grams of that per 500 milliliters of water. What's the name of the channel that made you change your parafilm technique or the keywords that should search for? I don't actually remember Yagger, so I'm going to have to look it up. He's one of my latest subscriptions. I subscribed to him. I think I was like number 7. So, Javier, I appreciate your enthusiasm, Javier, but I'm trying to stay apolitical through this whole thing. So, is that the same haircut that Ben had in that picture? I don't know which the picture. Yes. Oh my gosh, I think it is. That's hilarious, Lance. I didn't even realize that. That's like the same haircut Ben's had most of his life, except whenever he shaves his head completely bald. That's great info, man. I really appreciate it greatly. Beard is looking beast, by the way. Thank you, man. It's feeling very sticky today. I need beard oil. I should have brought some beard oil to the bunker, huh? You're very welcome, Javier. Dwayne says, does latest generation getting better and or more adaptive to the growing environment? What do you mean by that, Dwayne? I'm not sure that I understand. Generations don't necessarily get better at growing in the environment if you don't select for good isolates on it. So it can progress that way, but not always. I have a supposed agaricon liquid culture on Agar. It is weird, splotchy yellow and green. Then it does spread out to cover the Agar black. What does your agaricon look like when growing? Very much similar, actually. It's weird. It's so disgusting looking. Yeah, grow it on grain. See what it looks like. It's neat. Have you ever tried using perlite in your substrate mix to help the blocks retain more water? Advantages versus disadvantages. Haley, I have. We used to use perlite for seed starting, but I don't know that we've ever used it for mushroom growing. Have we?
No.
Okay. So I don't know what the pros or cons of that would be, but it'd be interesting to try.
We tried those little crystals before.
We did, yeah.
And those, I don't know about that.
Let's see. Brack says, did your milky whites never fruit? Mine never did. I guess they really needed a casing layer, not just cuts in the bag. Yeah, so I did get some to start Primordia, and then I had a cold snap and it killed them. But it took me forever to finally get those to do anything. The casing layer does seem to be necessary. I was really hoping it wouldn't be.
We did also try it in the basement once, and then we didn't have a lot of success, but the warehouse being so hot, I think, really helped.
It did, yeah. So we'll see how it goes. I think they really require heat. They require a lot of heat. And I do think that the casing layer, and I don't know, like from what I've seen, like a lot of people like in India grow it, they don't seem to use the cleanest casing layer. So I'm wondering if there's a biological element to coming in contact with like bacteria or something that kind of trigger the fruiting. And I'm not sure. I've not figured that one out yet. Hey, Spore. Listening in while moving bags into the grow room. That sounds like fun, man. Thankfully, I didn't have to do any of that today. Blocks got planted, and I didn't do a thing. I mean, I went over there and worked, and I answered the phone. That's basically my life, watching other people do my job while answering phones all day and talking to people, which is what I'm doing now. Let's see. Paul says, have you ever tried magic mushrooms? What are the most important mushroom cultivation books? I'll answer. Yes, I have. What are the most important mushroom cultivation books? What? I answered the question. The most important cultivation books are. I would go if I could only buy one. It would be Radical Mycology by Peter McCoy. But I think that there's still a ton of value in Growing Gourmet and Medicinal Mushrooms by Paul Stamets, The Mushroom Cultivator by Paul Stamets, Mycelium Running, especially by Paul Stamets. Trad Cotter's got a book that's okay. I've not read Brian Callow's book. I do plan to one day. And a basic microbiology textbook would be good too, but that's not like most important. That's like a nice to have. Joshua said, I'm still here, just made up some more blocks while listening. Heck yeah, man. Glad to have you still on. And Paul, yeah, I don't know, man. I guess it's an hour and 24 minutes into this, so I can kind of like, I can be a little bit more free than what I normally would be because no one's going to listen to me that long typically. Yes, I've tried them. It's been a while, but I found a lot of goodness for them, or goodness in them. So Wes says, Paul Stamets just did a vid on cloning an Agaricon from Wild and put on Agar. It grew like most mycelium would, was white. Mine starts off white and then grows the yellow-green color to it and then turns black. Sean says, do any of your book recommendations have a commercial business element to them, as in the running of a mushroom farm substrate to sales? Growing gourmet and medicinal mushrooms most definitely does. He's got a whole segment where he talks about workflow in a commercial farm. I will say that is the single greatest weakness I see in mushroom farmers in general, is they all treat themselves as farmers first and businessmen second. Every commercial farmer should be a businessman first and a farmer second. Or if you're a farmer first, you should get a partner who's a businessman. And you should defer to him on most business decisions. Is there any limit to how many times you can transfer agar, liquid cultures, or colonized jar? Not in theory. But in practice, yeah, usually.
So you might have to have some remedial work.
Yes, you would definitely have to have some remedial work. And that's the biggest thing, is that mushrooms technically don't age the way we do. So you're not really worried about aging and senescence the way people think. It's primarily a process called enzyme blindness. Works much like diabetes does in humans and mammals. And so it is something that you're really more worried about with growing on a sugary substrate over and over and over and over again with no respite between. Like, so if you can switch over to just plain sawdust occasionally and grow mycelium on that, it will be better for you in the long run, because it will have to continue to work at least occasionally to remember how to produce its own sugars from those sugar poor substrates. Oh, yeah? Just I know, yeah?
What?
You're sitting there.
My
Your
hands
eyes.
itch.
Well, I was just being so antagonist tonight. Collier! As quickly as you can, without losing all your progress, switch over to one of your siblings for the Xbox. Yes, let it be Aislinn, because Brody had his last night. Okay, where am I at? Hey, love your channel. Any info or luck with Morchella Morels, especially indoor? No, but I think his name is, Midnight Mushrooms. Let me look it up real quick. Hey, Mike Tyson's doing a live stream too. Maybe we should cross-pollinate. So if we're on Instagram, I think it's called Midnight Mushrooms. Let me find him real quick just to make sure. Midnight Harvest, maybe? It's Midnight Harvest on by Matt Hall. There's a Matt, yeah. So he does a lot of morel research. He's getting them to pin on agar, and he's having some very good repeatable results. So maybe check him out. It's Midnight Harvest on Instagram. Been rolling my steamer into the lab to unload. You don't seem to have issues unloading the bags in dirty air, right? No, I mean, we just unload ours outside. So haven't had too much. I mean, I'm sure it's not ideal. And in the summertime, we do have an increased contamination load. Have you tried to grow on wood chips or wood mulch instead of sawdust? My local blank sells bulk wood chips much cheaper. I have not, but I'm sure you can. Lots of people grow on wood chips, and I don't think that that's bad to grow on them. I just don't have access to good, standardized, workable, wood chips that are easy to systematize on. Have you ever had a totally different, unidentifiable mushroom surprise grow from one of your blocks? Occasionally. It happens occasionally. It's really rare. One time I was doing a mass spore culture of something. I think it was black poplar. And nothing grew and nothing grew and nothing grew. And The next thing you know, all of a sudden something starts growing. So I fruit it, and it turns out to be an oyster. And we actually just started testing that oyster in blocks for a small commercial test. So that's going to be cool. Otherwise, back in the day when we were growing on straw, we used to get they grow, and then they would cap out, and they disintegrate into that black inky caps. Yeah, we used to have inky caps that would form on our straw occasionally. Hey, John, welcome on. Interesting. Those are some important distinctions. I appreciate it. Yeah, Earth, you're welcome. If the bags are cool, they won't suck in air. That is also correct. Though we'll often just unload when they're hot and let them cool the rest of the way in the lab.
That helps shrink wrap them.
It does. Like if you got your steamer really hot and you pull the cover off, the bags will literally, you'll see them suck in on themselves. And where we keep our flaps really flat, they will self-seal. So it creates a small vacuum in the bag. And then we take them inside to let them fully cool in the lab. What percentage of contamination is acceptable? I strive to keep my contamination load under 10%. So anytime I run numbers, I always try to make sure that my numbers account for about a 10% contamination rate. We rarely have that level of contamination, but it does happen occasionally. About how long can grain spawn? Oh no, it moved. About how long can grain spawn shiitake be left before adding to substrate bag? Bag's taking longer to get here than I planned. Grain looking like a winter wonderland. Shiitake in particular, you want to get it before it starts popcorning and then browning. So you might refrigerate that spawn. Yep. Now that Ben's getting Christopher built out, Christopher walk-in. Oh, our walk-in fridge. Now that he's getting that built out, we'll be able to start doing holding larger amounts of spawn. Do you toss your jar lids after you use all the LC, or are you getting multiple jars off LC per lid? So I used to just toss them, but now I'm not taking them for granted with the mass shortage across the country. So what I've started doing is I'll replace the syringe filter and the self-healing injector port, and I'll use them a couple of times. But eventually they do start to rust. Somebody was on here a couple nights ago that said that they were painting the lids and that it was making them last much longer. And I don't remember who that was, so I'm sorry, guys, I can't credit you. But, works. Did you see the article about the guy that found a 3,300 Bronze Age sword while picking mushrooms? Score. I think it's a 3,003-year-old sword. I did not see that, but that is awesome. I did see where some people found a full, the Nazis had dumped a, what was it called? Hitler's buzzsaw, MG42. Somebody found, they were out magnet hunting in a bog, and they found a completely stripped but fully preserved in the bog MG42 on all of its parts. So they were able to get it and assemble it back together. John Grady, that was you. Okay, I was wondering if that was you that told me that you were painting lids. Yeah, I mean, painting lids might be a really good idea. I haven't tried it yet, but I might. What about using spent blocks to make biochar, and then use the biochar into substrate to increase water retention on a loop? Have you heard of that? Do you know anything about it? I have made biochar with blocks. Shiitake blocks in particular are incredibly fire retardant. They do not burn well at all. That said, that biochar also did not burn very well. Other than that, I have no idea. I have no idea what the usefulness would be in the block. I've heard of people using activated charcoal in Agar dishes and stuff, and that, I'm seeing some benefit to that. But I think it's more about the color than it is the actual qualities of the biochar. So I'm not sure, Curiosity. What contam do you usually encounter? Molds, bacterial, trichoderma? It's seasonal. So in the summertime, we'll often see neurospora. In fact, in the summertime, we see all the colors of the contamination rainbow. Trichoderma is usually not something we see unless we have an underlying bacterial contamination. Trichoderma does not seem like it's usually strong enough to beat out mycelium on its own. It usually means that your mycelium is being weakened by a latent bacterial infection. So bacteria and agar dishes is one of my big ones. Black mold, like black pin mold, those kinds of things are a constant. You're always going to see some contamination as a mushroom grower. It's just a constant part of your life. John says, I used black paint for grills, coated rings, and I actually put a very thin layer of silicone over the discs. I assume they will last a long time. I would make that assumption too. That sounds like a good way to go. I'm hoping that works out. Check out Coolbot for an affordable walk-in build. I have seen that, Andrew. That won't be what we do, but everyone else should absolutely check out the Coolbots. We've been very impressed by them. Whew. Sergio, I think I'm starting to get a buzz just off that. I am such a lightweight. I did this genetic profile. I did Ancestry.com, and I got my bulk data, and then I sent that bulk data to GenoPalette or whatever, and paid a small fee for that. I got it back for it just to tell me what I already know. I am a slow metabolizer of alcohol and caffeine, so... Sergio, maybe that's why it's affecting me. But I can definitely I'm feeling a little warm and talkative. I hate opening jars with rusty lids. So annoying. Yes, John, I 100% agree with that. Josiah says, what do you do with spent blocks? I imagine they build up fast. They do. Right now, our landlord for the warehouse has parked a dump trailer there, and we just throw our blocks in there and then open them up. And he goes and dumps it at places and his property and is building up the soil in different places. Does not do that story justice. Well, would you like to come tell that story?
Purchased a trailer specifically for our compost.
Okay, that's true. He did. He went out and specifically purchased a trailer for our compost.
Because he was so excited for the mushroom compost.
To put on his farm. So it's true. He did go out and just purchase that so that we could use it. Or rather, so he could benefit too. But I mean, it's a benefit for us because that means I don't ever have to worry about blocks building up. So that's just parked outside one of our dock doors. Not ideally situated. Yeah, Ben doesn't like it at all. Because it's outside one of his dock doors. Mm-hmm. But it's under cover, and so we got to find a different place for it, I would like. But, less than ideal is what we've always worked with. What's your favorite medicinal mushroom you feel you get the most benefits from? I like reishi a lot. I drink a lot of reishi, like in my coffee and tea and things. I do not drink it by itself because reishi is disgusting tasting. Mm-hmm. But cordyceps is another one. I will say that if I take a cordyceps supplement especially alongside niacin, like I feel like a Superman. Like I feel like dancing and singing and sweeping and cleaning and vacuuming and etc. So you used to be able to get a pretty decent cordyceps supplement from Walmart, but I've not seen it there in a long time. So I've just bought some bulk cordyceps militaris from Ryan Paul Gates off his website. How many pounds of substrate are your reishi blocks in order to leave room for them to grow in the bag? 12 pounds. Spent blocks are great for gardeners and compost piles. We use them a lot for our gardens here. We also have used them to ring trees and things like that. It does really well. Do not ring apricot trees with it because it apparently killed our apricot tree. Can you use spent blocks as spawn for the next batch if you adjust nutrients in the sub? We tried it, you will have contamination issues big time. You still do the black pearl much for restaurants? Not through the summertime. We were having a hard time growing it. We are planting it again now, and we are growing it in the grow room right now. So yes, the answer is we still grow it. But this past summer, we were down to like 3 strains that would make it through the heat. So, could I use an inline duct fan for a flow hood build?
It has been done.
Ben says it's been done.
TR Davis has a video on it.
Ben said that TR Davis actually has a video on that, so you can go check that out. John Grady says, Pocahontas, can you paint with all the colors of the mold? I'm going to tell Jackie about that. Jackie is our employee at Cherokee, and he's like, as inaccurate as it is, I freaking love Pocahontas. He's like, it's my favorite Disney movie, though it's inaccurate as can be. Quinn says, could you make an oyster fruiting block with just sawdust, or would that be inefficient? You can make, so sawdust spawn is actually a thing. And sawdust spawn's something I'm going to be experimenting with a little bit in the near future just to see what's what. But it is a poor fruiting substrate. However, if you heavily spawn, I think it would work okay. That said, your spawn's going to be more expensive than buying like soybean hulls or wheat bran to supplement with. So, and more work. So I'm not really sure that it would be worth it, but I'm sure you could do it. And you can grow some mushrooms off sawdust. I think, was it Brian Calla that was just growing off straight wood chips? Wasn't he doing that? Or was he using a supplement?
I don't remember. No, I think he had stuff mixed in.
Did he have stuff mixed in? Okay.
But lion's mane is grown on just wood all the time.
Gotcha. So Ben said the lion's mane's grown on just wood all the time. So maybe that would actually be really interesting, just to try straight sawdust blocks and grow lion's mane off of it.
That's what Hugh used to do all the time.
Is that what Hugh was doing?
Yeah.
I don't remember that.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. What is he painting his lids with? Black grill paint is what John said. If you look up higher up in the chat, he goes over how he does it. Could I make sorry, that was I lost my place. Do you cut your grow bags the same for king oyster as you do your other oyster strains? I do. I also do that for black poplar and chestnut and pretty much everything else except hericiums and shiitakes. Right. Instead of getting like a whole bunch of tiny little kings, we, like Samantha would say, we get one massive king. I mean, I've got a picture where my hand is sitting in a king cap, and that cap is like that big around my hand. You know, we'll get a mushroom that's sometimes like 3 pounds by itself. It is on Instagram. Paint made for grills because it's high temp is what John said. 6'2". Earth Mycology says, John Grady, would it prevent rust too? Oh, and John has already answered him. Said, yes, of course, that's the point. Randy Curtis says, do you know what causes powdery pink mold? Probably the organism that grows powdery pink mold. I don't know. So it's going to depend on when you saw the contamination, how the contamination is spreading throughout your substrate or media. So there's a lot of things that you can look at. As you grow more and more, you start developing an eye for how that contamination got there. So let's say that you have a fruiting block, everything's perfect about it, it's white, it's got green right on top. It usually means that mold went through the filter patch, landed on the top, and grew. If you've got mold all mixed in, like spattered around, and you've got like points of white and points of green, to me that usually means that either your spawn was contaminated or your substrate did not get a good enough cook, because that means that mold was in there before you did the mixing. You know, those kinds of things. You'll start developing an eye. Sometimes you'll see mold, and then it just grows in a single stripe down the block. To me, that is mold was growing there, condensation inside the bag formed, dripped, and then just continued dripping down in that, vein, and allowed the mold to just spread with the water. Osmosis, I'm not sure. You said lull, I would be. I'm not sure what you mean there. Lee Owen says, have you seen Mycelium Bot on Reddit? It's a bot helping mushroom growers identify contams and refer noobs to useful grow sources of information. I have not, but I am absolutely going to check that out. Mycelium Bot. All right. I've got that pulled up. I will look at it later. Did I just go away whenever I changed tabs, or did you guys still see me? All right. Do you feed spent substrates to worms? I'm very enthusiastic about mycelium worms. I used to, and then all my worms died. But I think that was because I was not running a worm farm properly. I plan to, but one of the things I'm more interested in the near future is
Black soldier flies.
Well, black soldier flies, I'm definitely going to be. They love fungus.
Maggots and mushrooms.
Maggots and mushrooms. Ben wants to start a company called Maggots and Mushrooms. Samantha said, I don't know. I can see it selling really well or really terribly. Like, Samantha said terribly. I guess it depends on who, like, we wouldn't.
It's going to be a win.
It's going to be a win. So I think there's some black soldier flies larvae can definitely eat it. Mealworms can eat. They love fungus. Actually, in the wild, that's their primary food source. Apex grower, William Padilla Brown, actually did a thing where he did a mix of styrofoam and spent substrate and started a mealworm farm. And those mealworms, it's either mealworms or superworms that can eat the styrofoam and digest it. Like, they fully digest it and break it apart in their digestive tract at the molecular level. Yeah, it's crazy. They have some bacteria, I think, that lives in their gut or something. But he did a test on it and grew amazing garden soil from these things. So I know. I was like, so I'm very interested in doing that one day. But I haven't gotten there. So I've got one of my boys is super obsessed with bugs, and he's going to run my bug farm when I get it going on Mars. My apologies. Been tuning in and out as I grab laundry. Thank you. Oh, you're talking to John. I got you. The biochar could hold water, a storage for the mycelium. So curiosity, I wondered about that. I don't know what the water holding qualities of biochar are. I'm not discounting it. I think that there's probably some use for it. I just have not looked into it much. If you only have a pressure cooker, how long would you run it for pasteurizing a substrate and at how many PSI? That's a math question. If you go into Paul Stamets' book, Growing Gourmet and Medicinal Mushrooms, he has charts upon charts on sterilization. You can look up pasteurization charts and sterilization charts on Google, and there are tons of good resources for that. Any microbiology textbook will have charts on it on that like PSI versus sterilization times. What you're most worried about is core temperature. So that's why I can't really tell you how long. I know to sterilize stuff in a pressure cooker, I cook for my 5-pound blocks. I cook at 15 PSI for 2.5 hours. But some portion of that, like I cook at 15 PSI on the gauge for 2.5 hours. That said, the core temperature of my blocks is most likely not at 250 degrees yet. Right? That's usually what has that been? That's like the gases. Basically, it's going to be the gas volume that's at 250. Yeah. So that's not really something I can just answer off the cuff for you and solve that for you. That's something that you're actually going to have to get into, Booter, and like dig into and find a probe, or rather with the sterilization temps, you're talking like, or you're talking pasteurization temps. So you might be able to probe it, not in a pressure cooker. No. But I think pasteurization temps, anything at up to atmospheric, it's always pasteurization. You can never sterilize.
Right.
So when you start getting into PSI level, you'll have sterilization.
No, anything below 15 is going to be technically pasteurizing.
Anything below 15 PSI is pasteurizing?
Yeah, because you won't crack the endospores.
Okay. That's right. Because it's 250 degrees is when endospores die. Yeah. That's when they lose the cohesion in their proteins, right? Yeah. Okay. Sorry, what were the 3 strains you were running on in the summer? I assume King Blue and Lion's Mane. We actually did not do much lion's mane in the summer. I've been on a lion's mane kick since about late summer, and so we did have that growing. Yeah, we had problems with the black goo in the lion's mane in the high heat, which was Samantha had me culture some of it, and it turned out to behave very much like a yeast. Let's see, but which was interesting because Samantha said it cleans the floor. It does clean the floor. It's weird. It drips and it goos this black goo, hits the ground, turns into this bubbly white foam, and then everywhere that it's dripped on, it completely strips the floor clean. It's beautiful.
So back to the whole pressure cooker thing?
Yeah, back to the pressure cooker thing.
You don't want to, like, if you have a pressure cooker, just freaking sterilize it.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like, if you've got a pressure cooker, just go ahead and sterilize.
Like, most people have success at a 90-minute cook.
Yeah, hour and a half. Yeah, 90 minutes.
So if I was doing substrate, I'd just do a full temperature, 90 minutes, and call it good.
So, Booter, I don't know if you heard Ben, but he was basically just saying if you've got access to a pressure cooker, just 15 psi at 90 minutes and call it good. Because a lot of people have good results at 90 minutes at 15 psi. So, and Samantha's saying test in small batches and then adjust accordingly.
Yeah.
So,
but that'd be a pretty reasonable baseline to start with.
Well, that's what I started off as an hour and a half, the 90-minute cook, and then I've worked my way up to 2.5 hours.
So that's for spawn, not substrate.
That is true. It's for spawn, not substrate. For substrate, we cook at atmospheric steam, which here, for 24 hours, yeah, and that's ultra pasteurization because we're above 190 is the ultra pasteurization, I think, and we're at 209 was what we last read, I think.
Sure,
it's roughly
we're floating right around 210.
Yeah, it's around 209, 210 is what we were at for 24 hours for 120 blocks. For 170 blocks, because of how much it crushes, blocks crush each other, and how long it takes the core to get up to temp, we were cooking at 36 hours just for that extra 50 blocks. I'm sorry, Samantha, you can have your chair back. Okay. So the 3 strains Yggdrasil that I was running through the summer were Elmsey, King Blue, and Mother of Pearl. And it's crazy because Mother of Pearl is from a blue oyster and a snow oyster. I can see your shadow on there.
Yeah, that's what I'm doing.
He's over here just bouncing, watching the shadow. Everyone has got, like I said, guys, this is going to be an informal and sloppy one because, I don't know. Anyways, Mother of Pearl is one that people would not expect to do well in the summertime because it's from 2 winter strains, the blue and the snow. And somehow, even when the temperatures in the warehouse were at 95 degrees Fahrenheit, the Mother of Pearl was still pinning. Now, the mushrooms suffered. They were not as good a quality. They definitely didn't produce as well, and they didn't produce as fine a mushroom. It's still a perfectly edible mushroom and good mushroom, and still worth growing yield-wise. But, 95-degree pinning for an oyster, I've never heard of that. Ever. And it's such a good mushroom. My mind's been blown on this Mother of Pearl. So those are the 3 Yggdrasil. Now at the wintertime, I know I'm talking it up, but I freaking love it.
What?
You were going like this. Nope. You don't want me describing it. Why don't you come over here and get on the screen with me? Let's see. Quinn says, thanks for the great stream. As always, got to go. Have a great night. You too, Quinn. What is the most needed product for mushroom farmers in this growing industry? Could be consumables or process control. The most needed product. Businessmen. I don't. Ben, you got any thoughts on that? I really don't know. I don't know what the most needed product would be. If you're talking about like a needed product that's not there, or a needed product that everyone's just buying. Because if that's the case, pressure cooker is the most needed product right off the bat for anyone interested in growing. Or at the very least, a pasteurizer of some sort.
Yeah, you can get by with doing anything else by hand, but
pasteurizing is hard to do by hand. Yeah. I don't know, Nick. I'll have to think on that one. That's actually a really hard to answer question for me. I don't tend to think in terms of products most of the time.
You're a service type guy.
I'm a service type of guy. John Grady says, do you know what species are compatible with Hericium? What do you mean compatible? And what do you mean species? In my grow room, I grow Hericiums of all types. I grow black poplars, which are the agaritas. I grow oysters. I grow shiitakes, chestnuts, Enokis, white, and which I take that back on the white. I've never actually fruited the white Enoki yet. That's about to happen. Golden Enoki, reishi. I mean, we fruited all in about the same room, so it's all been pretty compatible so far. And as far as like sharing a room goes, let's see. Oh my goodness. Sporadic says, I keep trying different ways to cut open lion's mane bags, and the small hole choke off the mushroom and they never grow. Can you say more about how you fruit lion's mane? I mean, it's literally just we take our knife and we just do a little slit. I mean, it's about that long, just a little slit, and the mushrooms grow from that, and they stretch that hole out. Maybe your humidity, maybe you're having too much airflow, or maybe they're getting bruised and stalling out. Oh my, I meant to say Douglas first, curious specifically about Hericium. Lion's mane want a lot of fresh air, in my experience. Yeah, so you have to have a lot of fresh air to get certain qualities of lion's mane, but I actually know a lot of people like in Florida, not a lot of people, 2 people, that in Florida grow lion's mane in low airflow environments specifically so they can lower their air conditioning bills through the summertime. And lion's mane is one of the few mushrooms, that and shiitake, that respond pretty well to less than ideal airflow. But if you want good teeth, you got to have lots of fresh air. I emailed Fungi Perfecti, and they said worms love oyster blocks. So, see, I've heard that, but then, like, my only experience I've got with it, they killed them off, it seemed like. So, you're welcome, Randy. See, John says, I've studied about black soldier fly larvae, proposed a business idea to a rancher I know of based on black soldier fly larvae. 30% protein, 30% fat, 10 to 15% calcium. They're amazing to recycle food waste. I'll bet mushrooms would grow on the byproduct of larva processing food waste. Yeah, so I've actually wondered if you could use the larva to grow Cordyceps militaris. And then you can literally go from oyster mushroom blocks to black soldier fly larva to pasteurized black soldier fly larva being inoculated with Cordyceps militaris and growing. The book is on my soon-to-get list. Good. Hello, peace from Israel. Hello, Dor. Peace from East Tennessee. Friedman. That's a good Israeli name. I like that. Is it Friedman or Friedman? I'm sitting on a bucket of oats now. Yeah. Thanks. I'll do the research, and I'm working on getting a pasteurization unit with a temp gauge, but a pressure cooker right now is all I've got. Thank you for your time. You're welcome. Yeah, I mean, 15 PSI, man. Just run at sterilization temps. Can you please share if you do liquid cultivating straight into the fruiting bags or into spawn? Spawn only. I've never had good results going from liquid culture to fruiting blocks. It's something I'd like to figure out, but have not had the time to properly invest in research. I found 60 minutes is often good enough for oats in the PC. So that's John Grady said that. I have never experienced 60 minutes being good. That said, I know a lot of people do, and I don't know if it's East Tennessee, if it's our particular brand of oats, if it's my pressure cooker, what. But a lot of people seem to be able to cook for a lot less time and have good results too. What's your favorite way of cooking mushrooms? One of mine, if roasted a little crispy with salt, pepper, granulated onion, garlic, butter, and olive oil. You pretty much said my favorite way, except throw it on top of a ribeye, and now it's even better. That said, deep fried oysters are amazing. How many cc's do you use per bag for liquid cultures? So Frank, yeah, some is the answer Ben gave. It depends how fast you want it to grow in. I do 10 milliliters or cc's. Ben, when you hand me her phone. Cool. Thank you. So 10 cc's for a 5-pound bag of oats that have been sterilized usually grows in that bag in about 10 days. And I like that speed, and liquid culture is so cheap to make that I just use the full 10. I don't, you can use as little as 1 or 2 as far as I'm concerned, as long as your work is clean. Would you mind crossing oysters with Pinellius cyanensis, please? Lee, I don't have that capability to cross species right now. I don't have a problem with it. I just don't know how you would go about doing it. I also stay away from anything illegal because being a mushroom farmer, guys, don't grow gourmet mushrooms and then grow shrooms. You're already under suspicion for just growing mushrooms as a gourmet grower. And your profit margin's good enough. Just grow your gourmet stuff. You'll meet contacts upon contacts upon contacts who do the other stuff that you can get whatever you want from there. Don't be dumb. Quick question. I've been making my blocks with 5 dry cups hardwood pellets, 5 tablespoons black coffee grounds, and 5 cups hot water. They have a 2 mil filter patch, and I vacuum sealed them twice before. Sterilizing in a 50-year-old pressure cooker at 15 psi, I'm getting kind of slow results for black pearl, maybe 15% fill after 7 days. Any suggestions? Are you shaking? Like, do they have airflow? Are you you're not vacuum packing them after they've cooked, are you? If you're talking about it's grown in 15% after 7 days, you might need to bust that up and shake it up. But I have found that coffee is kind of a less than ideal substrate for oysters anyways. Less than ideal. And actually, coffee grounds make a great spawn. They make a terrible substrate. What is your favorite mushroom? Well, Paul, that's going to require some clarification, but it depends on what you're wanting to do with said mushroom. That said, I'm on a big Hericium kick right now. I want to grow every Hericium ever. I'm cloning stuff like crazy. If you go on my Instagram, I've actually cloned out a lion's mane that a buddy bought me that the tooth is like that long on my finger. I've got it sitting there on Instagram in my hand. So lion's mane, comb tooth, bear's head being my favorite flavor out of all of them so far, with comb tooth being my favorite texture out of all of them. What are you doing with the chickpeas? Ben's making dip. Oyster mushrooms are like one of my favorite to grow for profit, just because they are so profitable. And shiitake is probably my favorite eating mushroom. Samantha, what's your favorite mushroom? King oysters. Ooh, king oyster scallops. That's a good one. Ben?
With me on shiitake, Ben.
Ben said he's with me on shiitake. Yeah, Ben and I have had long talks about how we wish we could grow shiitake, but it just didn't make sense profit-wise. Now it does. We're about to start growing them again. But
being someone who has planted shiitake, harvested shiitake, sliced shiitake, and cooked it.
Samantha said, being someone who has planted shiitake, harvested shiitake, trimmed it, and sliced it, and done all that stuff, it's not her favorite. So, absolutely, Yggdrasil, man, take it easy. Kings are good. Kings are really easy to harvest, high profit margin, easy to plant, easy to care for, and are just amazingly textured. So,
yeah, but they just don't have that freaking flavor.
They don't have the flavor of the shiitake. There is something about the shiitake flavor that just kills me. And Yggdrasil, I'd love to play Apex, man. We got to do it soon. If I'm working towards creating a mushroom farm, would it be worth it to keep small and go to a community college to learn about business? I am going to say, and this is my opinion, this will be before I ask Ben or Samantha what they think. I'm thinking no, that it's probably not worth going to school. It is worth staying small for a little bit, like mom and pop, the farm for a little bit, and read books on business. Read articles on business. Pick up Rich Dad, Poor Dad. If you don't know anything about business, that's the first best option, I think, because it introduces you to some very basic economic concepts. And if you just follow his advice, you will get wealthier. based on that book. That said, I mean, it'll at least teach you what an asset is and a liability is, and that's an important distinction. But going beyond that, like reading, there's accounting for small business books. But at the same time, I kind of feel like it's best just to hire an accountant and do what they say. So yeah, I mean, I just think it's best just to get into the farming side of things and just read about business. And do business, yeah, and treat business as if it's business. Like business is not hanging out with your friends or whatever, though it can include some of that. It is something to be taken a little bit seriously because business is what allows you to do everything else in your life. So that's kind of where I stand on it. Ben, what do you think? Is it worth going to school in the small?
So the problem I have with business school is that teaching is what you do when you can't survive in the real world, and that's a little cruel. But
I don't know if you guys can hear him, but he was just saying that teaching is kind of what you do when you can't do it. Though he's obviously being a little overly, I think.
But I think life experience is going to be more valuable as far as the amount of time spent, and that just depends. Like if you're able to learn on your own, then that's just the way we are.
So that's a good point. Ben said
some people do better with the classroom structure and having theory put together. So it really just depends on your learning style.
Right. So depending on your learning style, that'll mean a lot. I think I'm kind of an autodidact in that I'm self-taught. I self-learn really easy. If I'm interested in if I'm not interested in a subject, it doesn't matter if somebody's teaching it to me or not. I'm just not going to learn it. If I am interested in a subject, I'm going to learn it no matter what. So. But if you're not like that and you do better with structure, then it probably is better to go to school. And that's basically, I guess, the summary of what Ben was saying. I'm just iterating that I agree with him. So, Josiah, I think that it seems like the opinion around here is, and maybe that's just because we're a bunch of unschooled, unlearned barbarians. But what? I'm not unlearned, but I am unschooled. I do have some classes under my belt, but I don't have a degree, I guess, is what I'm saying. But yeah, I mean, I think books are going to be a good way to go, and you can watch a ton of YouTube videos. That you got to be careful because there's a lot of advice out there, and not all that advice pertains to you and what situation you're in at that moment. So, another question, please. What can I do to have my brown rice with gypsum to be sticky clumps after I pressure cook? Dora, I've got no idea. What? Yeah, desmutch. Desmutch, Joseph. That's from a skit. Joe Choi, I don't remember. He's talking about cooking rice. Yep. And yeah, his mom tells him, to cook this much. I'm not flipping you off. I've got a thumb there. But I don't know beyond that, man. I don't pressure cook rice. It's usually going to be about your water content for the sticky clumps. So you're going to have to just dial that in. What did you do to triumph over the black lion's mane goo? Repetitions. So the goo I have found shows up more if you allow fruiting in the bag before. So what a lot of people don't realize about lion's mane and other hericiums is they grow really light mycelium, and it will thicken up. So you will eventually see that white wave, but what you're really looking for is you'll go up in there and you'll look and you'll see these like little spider web looking things, but just barely. And it'll be way out in front of that big white spot that you see growing in. If you allow a hericium block to grow entirely white, it will start. It's too late. It's already fruiting. It's already got primordia. It's already fruiting. You'll see that black goo a lot more then, because that is a lot of the fruit like starting to rot, in my opinion, thereby increasing the chances of contamination. So I try to keep my spawn from sitting around for more than 7 days. I inoculate it, and we try to use it on the 7th day or put it in the fridge. That doesn't always happen, but that's what we try for. And then for fruiting blocks, we always try to let them sit for 7 to 10 days. As soon as we start seeing growth, like at all in the blocks, we just go ahead and put them in the grow room, cut them, and go. And that helps with keeping the black goo away a lot. Today I went in and we had a bunch of bear's head and comb tooth and stuff like that were already fruiting in the blocks. And we would cut them open, but I know that means I'm going to see a lot more black goo. So we definitely dropped the ball on getting those out quick enough. But John says, I messed up my question the first time. What species of mushrooms will grow on Douglas fir? Oh, I'm sorry, man. As far as I know, all of them. The people that I know that use Douglas fir have not had a trouble switching between species. So from my understanding, Douglas fir is a very legitimate replacement for hardwood fuel pellets. I've heard it doesn't yield quite as well, but it grows in faster. So, hello, Dor. Well, from the word freedom. Oh, Friedman, freedom. Gotcha. German origin. Nick P says, regarding the question I had for the most needed product, I was more referring to something that would be nice to have, but is unavailable, such as a good biodegradable mushroom bag that can be sterilized. Well, that is a product that could be used on the marketplace.
Or reusable fruiting containers.
That's what I'd be really interested in. Reusable fruiting containers.
Buckets, but that's nonsense. It's terrible.
Yeah, buckets are terrible. So give me something that is reusable, a good container. I actually would like a firm container, I think, with like structure on the walls and easy to clean.
Hello. Hey.
Also, I'm going straight from LC to blocks. Tristan, is it working for you? I would be very interested to know if that's working for you. All my king oysters that are top fruiting are ready to harvest, but bags that were side fruited haven't started pinning yet. Any thoughts on why? Side fruiting, did you scratch the top?
Yeah.
And did you scratch the side? That's kind of my question there. Any issues with eating oysters that look brown? If they're brown and slimy, I wouldn't eat them. If they're just brown and dried out, I wouldn't worry so much about it. As far as the kings, I think it's just something to do with the orientation of the block. Are you flipping your blocks upside down when you're fruiting out the side? Thanks for doing this. Been mad caught up in BS. Much love. Yeah, Von Lee, thank you. Thanks for the stream. Catch you later. Yeah, Lee, take it easy. The black goo. Oh, no. The black goo you talked about, who make the white foam clean the floor. Could I buy it? I'm intrigued, interested about the potential possibility. Next time I see it, I'll plate some out. And I'll see if I can ship it to you. Curiosity, are you in France? Is that right? Or are you in like Quebec? I can't remember. Is UV light beneficial for mushrooms? I'm curious why outdoor mushrooms are so good, different from inside grow. I don't know, John, but that would be really interesting. Just have a light UV light going on in the grow room. I would be interested in seeing some trials on that. Should I pop them bag then? They were sealed before sterilizing, injected with LC, then placed in my closet to grow. I shake them every couple of days. Wouldn't pop them. Like if you've got a bag with a filter patch, then I wouldn't wrap it up in a vacuum pack bag or anything like that. So yeah, I would take them out of that if you can. That would probably be the best way to do. John Grady says, bear's head, best flavor, comb tooth, best flavor. Does this mean a hybrid breed would be the king? So comb tooth would be best texture. Oh, god dang, I'm tired. Comb tooth, best texture. Okay, you already corrected. Yeah, it would be great if you could hybridize it. That's being two different species. I don't know how easy that would be. You ever watch Home Mycology? I think it's Home Mycology that did the double layer parafilm that just completely changed. I'm I'm going to make a video, another Agar video, and I'm definitely going to talk about that in it. And I definitely want to reference who it was because it's very important to me when we open source this kind of stuff that we give credit where credit's due at all times. And so I definitely want to make sure. So I think it was Home Mycology that did that, but don't quote me on that yet. But thank you for saying that, Earth Mycology. My opinion on going to CC to learn business. I also agree it's not worth it. I entered community college for agricultural business. I loved the ag classes. The business classes were awful. Better to learn from YouTube. That's kind of what my understanding was. I never took a business class in college. Just microbiology. Actually, I didn't even take microbiology. I took biodiversity, which was the biology class for biology majors. But I only went to school for one semester. So, yeah, great book for any business owner. Mark Kolar has a great business accounting YouTube channel. Breaks down LLC and Scorp stuff too. That sounds great. Scorp. Osmosis continues with, besides oysters, are shiitake fairly easy to cultivate on blocks? They are my favorite. Shiitake are easy to cultivate-ish. The biggest thing is the wait. I mean, you're talking like 8 to 10 weeks before they can fruit. So from inoculation to fruiting, whereas an oyster, you're talking 2 weeks. So to me, oysters are easier for beginners. Shiitake is something that you can, once you've got other projects going on. But I'm the kind of person that if I don't have a project going on or if I do one thing and I have to wait a really long time for it, I lose interest. I get really bored really easy. I don't think you can really learn to run a business from a book. The classes that tried to teach business stuff were confusing. I think it's better to do something like an internship. So, John, I would actually agree with that if you can. And, when I do mentorship stuff, like when we have our mentorships, our mentorees, whatever. When people come in to do our mentorship program, they'll come work with us for a week, and they'll go on deliveries with Samantha. Samantha will oftentimes, like we do, it's you and then a +1, and oftentimes Samantha will sit down with whoever's most interested in accounting and show them her spreadsheets and stuff. You've got somebody will come in and go on deliveries, and then they get to talk to the chefs, and they get to ask the chefs questions. And, things like that. And we'll call chefs and see, which chefs might be more interested, might be willing to let somebody tag along and just ask them a couple of questions. And we kind of go over the business side of things like that. And so that's kind of like an internship. But I think that learning through experience is probably the best way to go. Also says, I'm still reading Paul Stamets' book. Yeah, I mean, he's got 3 and all of them are good. And even the Mushroom Cultivator says a lot. A lot of what it says is already covered in Growing Gourmet and Medicinal Mushrooms, but there are some gems in the Mushroom Cultivator that a lot of people don't talk about, that it's almost like he wrote about, was really good material, and then he's like, I don't know that I want to give everyone my best material. Why don't I write this new book that's up to date with some not of these gems? Never found a lion's mane in the wild. Last weekend, as I looked for them, I heard woodpeckers. Then I envisioned woodpeckers, suet feeders, inoculated with elm spore, starting an experiment now. I think you actually messaged me something about that that I read, but I have not gotten to respond to yet. Again, overwhelmed with all the correspondence. But that actually would be a very interesting way of going about it. You should definitely look into that. That would be cool. Thanks for your knowledge, man. Looking forward to the next video and chat. Yeah, Gareth, thank you for stopping in. I am breaking the spawn in the jars for the past 30 minutes. Lol, thanks. I will look into your answer, bro. Good, Dor. Julie says, thank you for giving us something to watch other than the election. I'm listening while making creamy chanterelle soup. Oh, my goodness. Samantha, what are you making? Samantha's making a spiral ham, mashed potatoes, macaroni and cheese. Oh, my goodness. My goodness, you ladies are making me hungry. The creamy chanterelle soup sounds interesting. I've never had chanterelle soup.
Laura said she's perfected her mushroom soup.
Laura's perfected her mushroom soup?
She thought it'd be a good idea if we could make it and sell it at the shop.
I think we should do that. Well, we'll get a commercial kitchen. I'm saying I just want to try it myself. I'm not looking to sell it yet. I'm curious. I heard stuff about infrared thermometers helping to see if there's any contamination. Any truth to this? I have never seen that. Jesse, if you have any information on that, please send that my way. Just throwing it out there, if you let hericiums colonize in complete darkness, the mycelium will be more visually evident, but will prevent them from fruiting. Bragg, that's a great idea. I don't have a space to incubate. What am I doing right now? 60 blocks a week of Hericium, roughly, or no, 120 blocks of Hericium a week, roughly. So, if I'm storing them for 2 weeks, then you're talking 240 blocks. I just don't have a place to keep them. I could just wrap the racks. That might be interesting. All the mycelium block in contact with another one in the fruiting room. Log style, any benefits to let them link between them and exchange water nutrients? I wouldn't think so, Curiosity. I think that them all being in their own package is probably actually the best way to go. Just because if one gets contaminated, you can remove that contamination and leave the others. Hello from India. Well, hello, India, from East Tennessee. I'm going to try 15-quart Sterilite containers to fruit from, or I'll produce blocks and then remove them from the containers. I've done both, and I think this is the way forward for reusable containers. Can you sterilize those, or are you just sanitizing those? And are you making blocks in plastic and then fruiting them in those containers? Because I'm trying to figure out a way to remove the plastic entirely. To answer the LC to block question, yes, it is working technically, but it seems slow. And I've got 3 blocks going right now, and one is clearly growing. The other 2 I'm waiting to see. Okay, Tristan. So I've heard that Hericiums work better from LC to block, but I have not tried that yet. But my old mentor, the guy who taught me to grow mushrooms, said that that's the way he used to do it. This is my first time coming here. Well, welcome, FY. I should say I've already grown some mushrooms this way. Southwest Mushrooms points out that Hericium love to top fruit, so this is untested for me, but I assume they can do well in the plastic containers. I would think so. I've been flipping all my blocks before I cut a hole in the side. No, I haven't been. What? No, I haven't been scratching the holes on the top or side fruited. Should I be? I don't know. I've heard from some people that scratching, you take your King Oyster bag, take the floppy plastic top, right, and use that. Take your hand and use the plastic as a glove, so to speak, and just scratch the crap out of the top of that block, and then set it back on the shelf. And it'll start to pin like crazy, I've heard, and then you can remove the top and let it finish fruiting. I've never done it that way, Spore, so I'm not sure. I was just trying to figure out if there was a reason why yours were fruiting faster that way. I will say that when we cut in the sides, my knife goes in deep and cuts, and I always notice my fruits form right there along the cuts. People develop a tan under UV light. My pearl oysters turn brown outside. Vitamin D is produced with sunlight. Also, cannabis produces more THC under UV light. The subject is a rabbit hole. That sounds like promising work, John. We should look into that for sure. I think that may be part of the reason why outdoor mushrooms are such better quality than indoor ones. Hi, man. Can I order your cultures in Ukraine? Sorry, man. I don't ship outside the U.S., Canada, Mexico area. I'd like to. I did ship some to Australia once, I think. Yes. And I had a guy working on New Zealand. But I don't know if we ever shipped to New Zealand or if he was approved or not approved or what. Any futuristic ideas on how automation will affect the way mushrooms are grown in the future? I have a lot. I don't know that I have any fully formed thoughts that are really ready to be shared. I don't know if you guys have seen where people are growing in mushroom beds, and I think it's in the Netherlands. They grow in these massive beds, shrink wrapped with plastic, and then they got holes perforated in them. The mushrooms grow out the top, and then people will attach basically a bandsaw blade over these rails on the shelf, and it will cut just above that layer of plastic and does the harvest cut on everything. That's interesting. Bottle farm production, I think, is already automated a lot. I don't know, how high-tech automations are going to affect things. I think that's going to kind of approach us out of left field. I think it'll be interesting if the infrared thermometer is a real thing for checking out contamination. It'd be very interesting just to have something that searches out contamination and highlights it for the cultivators to remove. Eventually, when you got bottle tech going, you can standardize around that bottle really easily. And that's one of the reasons why I want a structured container. You want something you can standardize and systematize easily. And I think you'll see a ton of automation get into any form of agriculture. But mushrooms will be one of the things I think that'll be easier to automate. It'd be easier to automate than some of the outdoor grown crops in some ways. You're welcome, Osmosis. Crazy Booter. Running 15 PSI now. Very good. Any real issues with growing spawn, colonizing blocks under fruiting and very low temps under 50, other than much slower growth? Any species definite no with this. So as long as your pink will grow, it's fine. You're not going to, a lot of tropicals are going to suffer at temps, sub 50 temps. I'm thinking, no, there's not really going to, other than your slower grow times, there shouldn't be any problems. In fact, you'll have your contamination will be growing slower too. And my feeling is mycelium, from what I've seen in my experience, mycelium seems to do better with cold temps than contamination does. It will continue to grow, and it gains velocity much faster than mold does, in pretty cold temperatures. Not saying that mold doesn't grow or you don't have any contamination, but there is. I'll be down there in December for a mentorship. I hope to learn that way. I was on the fence about heading back to school. Hey, Josiah. Okay, so you're that Josiah. Yeah, man. Looking forward to having you down. The best way to learn a business is to learn while doing it, embracing mistakes, and laughing along the times we fall and get back up again, smarter and closer to our goal. I 100% agree. Repetitions and experience are exactly the way to go. What's the best bulk substrate recipe? And Jesse, my opinion on that's the Master's Mix created by T.R. Davis. 50-50 mix of hardwood fuel pellets and soybean hull pellets, hydrated, in my experience, to a 60% hydration level. I think TR does 50. I'm not sure. But that's the best one in my opinion. Lance says, come in late and leaving early. I wish school was like that. I've got to check out an old citrus tree. If I dig it up, I can have it. And free is my favorite color. Aloha. Take it easy, Lance. I've always wanted to go to Hawaii. That's one of the 50 I haven't been to. I've been to almost all 50 states, but not Alaska or Hawaii. And I've not been to Maine. And I've not been to basically the very Northeast I've not been to. I've been as high up as Maryland. I've been into New York, but I've not actually been to like New York City. Samanda's been to New York City.
Lived in New Hampshire.
Samantha lived in New Hampshire and
got lobster in Maine.
Lobster in Maine. Oh my gosh. Oh, lobster. Or man, I just want to go back to Pawleys Island and go to Krabby Mike's. So bad. Let's see. Great chat. Thank you for hosting. Absolutely, Osmosis. Take it easy. Juggling the Masters Mix. I 100% agree. Lawrence says, anyone ever found woolly Neptunes? No, I have not. But I have seen them on Bob's Burgers. Speaking of that, the woolly Neptune blog post that we've got on our blog is like our highest performing article ever on the website. I didn't know if you knew that, Samantha. I heard that. Yeah, it's like that gets us more traffic than almost anything. Hello from your neighbor from North Kentucky. Well, hello, Jadine. Nick says, just wanted to say thank you for the work you do to bring mycology to the more common man. Absolutely, Nick. I'm glad that there's more common people like us out there. So educational. I'll be listening to this again and again. Well, Jesse, I hope so, man. I got other live streams out there, too. Frank said, I heard 2 minutes of you. I heard to use UV light, then harvest quickly after. This will increase vitamin D in the mushrooms. I didn't say that, but that sounds good. That sounds like it would be useful information. Dor says, at Jesse Peterson, by what I've seen but not tested, it's 50% sawdust, 50% soy hulls. Yeah, that's what I was saying, Dor. Yeah. Proud new follower, much love. Thank you, Jesse. Take care. JD says, they have lobster rolls at McDonald's in Maine, and they are actually pretty awesome. Oh, my gosh. Span, let's move to Maine.
I'd be okay with that.
Why?
Lobster.
Oh, okay. Yeah, that's why I want to go to Maine. Actually, let's just get let's get a fall house in Maine, and then never go there except in fall.
Why?
Because I've heard it's really freaking cold in summer. It's really mosquito-y. So let's see. Have you the lobsters being blue up there? I knew crabs were. I didn't know lobsters were too. Have you grown wine caps or chicken of the woods outdoor? Or have you tried either of those indoor? How about wood ear? I've grown wood ear indoors. I've grown wood ear outdoors. I've grown chicken of the woods indoors. Chicken of the woods was not super economical. I was only getting about a quarter pound of fruit per block, but I think that I can change that now. I've grown maitake indoors, which you didn't ask about. Wine caps, I definitely have grown outside. We used to grow a lot of wine caps outside. We still have patches of them, but we don't feed the patches like we used to, so I need to get back on that. Just saw an episode last night, checked Google to see if they were real, and found your blog post. Oh, that's funny. He was asking about the woolly Neptunes. And first thing on Google. Really? When you look up woolly Neptunes, ours is the first thing on Google? That's awesome. Sorry, BL, to go back to you on the wood ear. The trick with wood ear on indoors, in my opinion, is to let it really dry out. So put it in the driest spot in your room. Let it dry out and then spray it when you clean your grow room. Spray it with a pressure washer. Jason is the one that figured that out for us, and that worked out really well. Still didn't get huge ears. It takes a long time to grow wood ear. So I think it would do better in a dry room. Got to put the mushroom to sleep and head home. Thanks for all the help and good info. Take care, everyone. You too, Spore. Take it easy. Osmosis says, I wonder if using glass tanks to grow mushrooms would work. And agitate with vibration fitness plate. Seems like this would be a fun experiment to try. That would. You should do that. Let me know how it goes. I live by the village drain tunnel. I have mosquitoes here that are bodybuilders and lifting lizards for morning warm-ups. Yeah, that doesn't sound fun to me. I'm not a mosquito fan. I love swamps, but I will say with mosquitoes, the trick I figured out when I go out like blackberry hunting around here, when you're picking blackberries, mosquitoes love the blackberry bushes. And the trick is to take a pipe and a white pouch of Captain Black pipe tobacco. And I'm not a huge smoker, but man, just that pipe and just be puffing on that pipe while you're picking blackberries and then mix it, and then just like almost like you're smudging, like blow that smoke all over you. And man, the mosquitoes just run and hide. So I was reading a book where they actually talked about how when the Columbian Exchange happened and tobacco left North America and went to China, the average lifespan of people in southern China increased dramatically because the rates of malaria and mosquito-borne illnesses went down like crazy because so many people started smoking. And I was like, wow, that's like the one time you can say smoking saved lives. Hey, I have a bunch of pines that have been cut down around my place. Do you know what mushrooms grow good on conifers? The conifer coral is a good one to grow on, like pine, things like that. How do you guys suggest getting rid of mold? What do you mean? I would just throw it away.
Clean, sterilize,
yep.
Away.
Clean, sterilize, clean, throw away. Always get rid of contamination early and often. That kind of thing.
Clean with 5% bleach solution.
Yep. 5% bleach solution helps a lot with mold.
Don't super heavy because you'll cause more mold.
Yeah, no kidding. Well, you're welcome, Dor. You're very welcome. Well, guys, it's been 2.5 hours, and it's 8:30. Almost time to eat supper over here, so I'm going to head off. Thank you guys very much for making this a very enjoyable live stream and distracting me from waiting around for election results, right? I mean, who wants to do that? So, yeah, if you guys ever need anything, we'll be back on hopefully very soon. Not tonight, obviously. But you guys stay safe out there and take it easy. Keep spawning culture, y'all. Take it easy.